Warning, the RCWR Show with Lee Sanders is intended for a mature audience only. The following is an Infinity One Productions presentation, keeping it honest, insightful, and interactive. Covering the latest in wrestling and beyond since 2011, you're listening to the RCWR Show. Now, your host, live from the nation's capital in Washington, D.C., Lee Sanders.
And what is up? You're checking out the Tuesday night edition of the RCWR Show, coming at you for this Tuesday night, April 4th, 2017. What is going on, my pretty babies? We got a nice slam dunk episode planned for you all tonight, so kick on back, gather up a chair, gather up a nice code, that's a tongue twister right there, a nice cool, tall one is what the fuck I was trying to say. Look, I'm already fucking up already, and it's not even 3 minutes into the show. Hey, get at me on Twitter, Facebook, at the RCWR Show. Also, I got the chat on Spreaker live right now for the next little bit. Pop your head on in there. Do like Brendan, do like Matthew. Feel free to say hello. So, hey, man, some interesting stuff. Honestly, I'm thinking, it's going to be a nice short show tonight. By my definition of short, I get to stay away from 2 hours. But then, all this crazy shit just starts going down, so there's, a nice amount of material to talk about tonight. I really didn't want to recycle too much of what went down with WrestleMania weekend, but there was definitely some interesting new stuff that came about that, honestly, I just can't wait to share with you all. So, hey, look, before I begin, I want to take this time out, and I want to thank the many of you that were checking out the great content that I have provided all weekend long, leading right into the conclusion of WrestleMania, and then I came right back on less than 24 hours after WrestleMania to do a special Raw After Mania post show that was exclusive live on YouTube. But man, I mean, let me tell you, it was a crazy week last week, because Tuesday I did the RCWR show, and then on Thursday I did Impact Showdown. And then on Friday, I did the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony after show. That was exclusive to YouTube. I came back Saturday night to do the NXT Takeover after show. That was live on YouTube. And then I came back Sunday night for WrestleMania. That was a simulcast that was on Spreaker and on YouTube. And then just less than 24 hours ago, I was on YouTube, as I mentioned, for the Raw After Show, and now here we are tonight. So I do plan on doing Impact Showdown this Thursday. That's going to be on YouTube, and then after that, I'm going to have a nice little break, a well-deserved break after that. But I really do appreciate the many of you that had took the time out to check out all the great content had pumped out, and also got to give a big shout out to my special friend, my buddy over at Epic Sports, because my God, did he have a big old workload on his hands. I mean, this guy was just left and right. I mean, he was relying on me mainly for WrestleMania weekend until my fellow colleagues were able to come in and do their thing respectfully. But shout out to Epic. Epic was just almost kind of working all around the clock there. And some very interesting reactions that had came about. I mean, look, I am one to let you all know, hey, when something ain't being well received outside of our little inner circle, I let y'all know about it. I man up to it. And I gotta say, I was really taken back by the freaking crap that had went down over the weekend. There was one clip that went over on Epic in particular, and just the title of it alone, it led so many people to go, dislike, 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 dislike. And I'm kind of like, wait. Did you actually listen to the entire episode? Because what basically was tagged in how this excerpt from the show was titled, you're already going, what the fuck is this dude smoking? and then you follow it up with just a snippet of what I said without really taking everything into true context, because you're only hearing a snippet. Kind of like how every single time you turn around, you see some of these police officers that are in trouble, and you got, oh, that cop ain't up to no good. That's a corrupt cop. And it's like, oh, yeah, but isn't it convenient how, like, every time you turn around, there's some type of weird controversy that happens with a cop. The footage that is shown just happens to be right when they're doing some type of physical harm to whoever it is they're trying to give disciplinary action to, right? It's like, okay, can we see, like, from the beginning, from the moment that the cop maybe came out of their vehicle and they had approached that civilian, can we maybe look at things from that standpoint? So when you have a scenario like that, you're always going to, like, just go with your gut instincts. And as I've gotten a little bit older, as technology has advanced, I've kind of gone, well, wait a minute, I want to jump on this. I'm actually going to wait because I want to hear a little bit more. I want to see a little bit more before I comment on the whole thing. So there was a very controversial video that was on Epic, and here's what had went down. This was very, very interesting. This was very interesting. So the title of this one particular clip, NXT TakeOver better than WrestleMania 33. And the shitstorm just came. That was the first video in my brief relationship with Epic Sports so far that unanimously was like thumbs down. And everybody's like, what the fuck is this dude smoking? This guy's a fucking mark, man. Look at this dude. Like, get this damn podcast off my damn channel. I don't want to see this shit no more. I want to hear this shit. And it's kind of like, damn. So I tried to do damage control and offer some comments, but like, you know how it is, guys. When you're on YouTube and you come across something you don't like, well, you got a couple of options. You either dislike the video, keep it rolling along, or you dislike the video, leave a comment, move it along, or you just wait, the title or what, and you hear the first couple of seconds and then you're like, man, fuck no, and you just like go on a shit spree, right? So I was like, damn. So let's revisit this in a nutshell, and I will be brief. Now, just to clarify, for not only you all are loyal listeners, but I do want to clarify for our good friends over at Epic Sports. And now that and this is very interesting because I was on Facebook the other day, and this is actually a shout out to, let me see, I'm on Facebook right now, and let me actually see if I can pull up this guy's name. Shout out to, can I scroll? I'm looking at the notifications here. Can I scroll down? Surely I can scroll down. Yes. Shout out to, hopefully I am pronouncing this guy's name right. If I am butchering this name, I apologize in advance. Shout out to Lai Olaf, who had messaged me, and he was like, look, I've been checking out your show on iTunes for a little bit of a while now, and if there's one thing I want to bring to your attention, like, you're always contradicting yourself, and here's an example. And he started telling me about what I said about WrestleMania. So I'm gonna knock out two birds with one stone, but it actually might be a third stone in there. We'll see how this goes. So number one, let me clarify. As far as WrestleMania, I felt that a majority of the card, and I actually watched WrestleMania for a second time, believe it or not. I usually do when it comes to these WWE pay-per-views. But I watched WrestleMania, and I gotta tell you, when I look back on all of the matches that had transpired at WrestleMania, as far as quality of these matches, you can give me all the quantity of matches you want with a pay-per-view card. Quantity does not matter to me. What I care a great deal about is the quality of the matches. And I have to be honest with you all, and I'm even including the pre-show matches. So we basically had 13 matches total. Out of the 13 matches total that we had got from WrestleMania, I have to tell you, a vast majority of those matches were average. They were average. Okay? If you ask me straight up, Lee, I've never seen WrestleMania I didn't see this WrestleMania. Can you maybe point out some matches you think I should go out of my way to check out in case maybe I don't want to look at the entire pay-per-view? I would say to you, yeah, sure. Now, I would say go out of your way. Try to look up Neville taking on Austin Aries for the Cruiserweight title. I felt that was a really strong match, to the point I felt in my heart of hearts that match actually should have been on the WrestleMania card. But it is what it is. We can't go back in time now. But I think a majority of you all would agree that was like probably one of the best matches alone for a pre-show, if not ever, in quite a good minute. Okay? In quite a good minute. So, Neville, Austin Aries, that was really good. To the actual WrestleMania card itself, AJ Styles, Shane McMahon, that actually was a good match. I must say, looking back on Mania, that match stood out to me. It was nice seeing Shane McMahon do that insane spot that he did off the top turnbuckle looking for a shooting star press. I didn't know the 47-year-old could still do that. And I totally have forgot he used to do that back in the heyday. So that was, some awesome spots. AJ told a really good story in that one. I enjoyed that match. All right. Now, other than that match, looking at the rest of the card, I honestly would have to say for sure the Fatal 4-Way with the Hardys. And I love how, once the Hardys were in there, anybody else had noticed that looking back on WrestleMania, crowd was really into Enzo Amore, Kaz, and all that. But, man, as soon as we heard about the freaking Hardys, none of the other tag teams had mattered. That was pretty much it. It was that's a, hey, ice cream, apple pie, all right. And you just got pushed to the side, and because everybody was going for the ice cream and apple pie. So, Hardys in that Fatal 4-Way ladder match, I would have to say that was actually a good match. I will be straight up honest. That was a good match. As far as maybe Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, that was a good match as well. I will definitely admit that. But I mean, other than that, nothing really is jumping out at me right now. A majority of the matches, and when I was sharing the opinion of the person that said what they said on Facebook as far as contradicting, and I told them where I stood and how I was not contradicting. I remember I had a conversation about this with my girlfriend, and she goes, well, maybe you should try to clarify a little bit more for him and all listeners that maybe are questioning why you rated it the way that you rated it. In case you missed it, I rated WrestleMania a 5 out of 10. I was going to go a 5.5, but I decided, I'm going to stick to a 5 out of 10. And she was like, rather than just say, well, that match was a 3-star, maybe if you can give a little bit of a quick rundown why you felt the way that you felt about the match, maybe that can kind of help people understand where you're coming from a little more. So for me personally, with the exception of the matches that I said I really enjoyed the most, majority of the matches felt like a typical Raw or Smackdown match. It did not feel anything spectacular. It was like, okay, yeah, this is what I usually see on Raw or Smackdown. It did not have that WrestleMania feel. It did not have that, Mamma Mia, what a match! It didn't have that type of vibe to it, quite honestly. And I'm not going to go over the entire card again because, honestly, that's a disservice to you all that checked out all the stuff that I did all week long during the weekend. But for me personally, a lot of the matches were just, it was average. It was average. So I don't think I need to elaborate anymore in what I just said, how a majority of the matches kind of felt like a Raw or Smackdown match. It did not feel anything of WrestleMania caliber from what we've seen previous WrestleManias. I think a majority of us can kind of be in agreement for that. Now, I did go on record, and I want to make sure that I reiterate this again. This WrestleMania, it is not a WrestleMania as far as the quality in matches. it is not going to be a WrestleMania that years from now people will be going back and talking about. Instead, what will make this WrestleMania be very memorable is the fact that we saw the Hardys. They returned. Not since Macho Man, Miss Elizabeth, right? We saw John Cena propose to Nikki Bella in the middle of the ring. That was an awesome WrestleMania moment. All right. Also, we got a home in on Roman Reigns defeating The Undertaker. Not only defeating The Undertaker, basically retiring The Undertaker. Those type of moments right there. And for maybe the hardcore AJ Styles fan, maybe what he did with Shane O'Mac to a degree, that should get an honorable mention as well. But those moments that I talked about for years to come, we're going to be able to go back, whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we're going to be able to go back and pull up this WrestleMania and say, oh, yeah, hey, WrestleMania 33, yeah, you know, that was actually a good pay-per-view. And when asked why, what do you think that person is going to say? 9 times out of 10, that person is going to say it was good because of what I just mentioned for those moments. But 5, 10, 15 years from now, unless you are a wrestling historian or you just have a really good memory, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be like, oh yeah, all the matches on that card were spectacular. No, you're going to be like, you know, from what I kind of remember of the card, can't remember who all were there, but I kind of want to say the matches were just kind of, but you know, those moments, that's the stuff. Sadly, when it comes to WrestleMania, it's supposed to go hand in hand. It's supposed to be quality of matches meeting hand in hand with awesome memories. And this WrestleMania did not really kind of execute that to the point. Respectfully, I got to give it up to some of my colleagues, because after I got done doing my show, I had got a couple of private messages, and it was like, hey, heard your stream, and yeah, you know, you bring up some very valid points. You know, come check out my joint, tell me what you think. And I mean, there were a lot of folks that were kind of like having that same brain wave as I was having, that same philosophy that I was having with regards to a majority of the matches. Now, as far as NXT goes, I basically said, and this is the perfect way to put this in a nutshell, and I hope Epic Sports, you're listening, make sure you run this clip in its entirety. Do not do any editing whatsoever, because I would like to believe that at this point, everybody can understand for sure and appreciate where I'm coming from. I don't mind if there is a matter of opinion, you may disagree, but let's have a healthy debate. You know, I love interacting with you guys. I want to have a debate with you if you disagree with what I have to say. But let me tell you something. When you do the whole silly name calling and all that other crap, don't give me that cop-out bullshit line of welcome to the internet. Don't give me that bullshit. Because if I want to make my point, let me tell you something. Since 2011, I have always done my very best to respect any and everybody that takes the time out to hear what I have to say. And I got to tell you, when people don't disagree, when people don't agree with what I have to say, they are always cool. Ain't no, but you know, they give it to me. They let me know what's up, but they're respectful about it in such a way. There ain't no name bashing, name calling, all that other silly shit. Like, you ain't got to go that route just to let a person know I don't agree with you. That's not how the world works. I mean, I think it's funny how, you know, some of us, a lot of us, we act a certain way when we're in front of a computer, but we know damn well we don't act like that when in real life we're in front of people. We got to deal with people, you know, face to face on a daily basis. I just think that's fucking hilarious. But with regards to NXT, I basically was trying to say, what WrestleMania lacked in as far as the quality and the execution of matches, NXT to a certain degree had the one-up on WrestleMania, but then what NXT lacked in as far as like moments, memories, WrestleMania had that and then some. So it's almost kind of like a, you know, a bitter with the sweet type of deal. But if you ask me straight up, Lee, was NXT better than WrestleMania? I would say yes and no. If you ask me, Lee, was WrestleMania better than NXT? I would say yes and no. Now, some of you may be like, that sounds really good. But no, if you really just stop and think about everything that I just said, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. So hopefully I've set the record straight on that. And again, if you disagree with me, that is totally fucking cool. Let's have a debate. I don't mind it, because honestly, it gets me talking to you. It puts me in a position where I get to pick your brain, and maybe you bring something that I didn't consider that make me go, okay, well, you know what? That's a very valid point. Didn't really think about that. Hey, opinions can change. Opinions can change all the time. Perspectives can change all the time. Now, the other rock that I have over here that I want to just throw out there. This show has an MO. Keeping it honest, keeping it insightful, keeping it interactive. Now, this is the part where I really want to home in on. The interactive. Now, look, man, I appreciate you guys that take the time out of your schedule, whether you check the show out live, you check it out on demand, you check it out on the downloads. I appreciate the love. I appreciate the support. But here's where I'm kind of like, do me a favor. Do me a solid. If you've been listening to my show for even a couple of weeks, and you're like, I like this guy. I like his show. I like what he brings to the table. He's on point. All right, he's got a new listener in me. I like checking him out on the regular. Do me a favor. If I say something that maybe ruffles you the wrong way, and or if, as far as you're concerned, you think that maybe I'm saying something that is kind of contradicting, bring it to my attention as soon as humanly possible. Do you think, honestly ask yourself, do you think I say follow me on Twitter and Facebook at the RCWR Show just to be saying that, just to kill airtime? No, that is my legit way of saying to you, hey, dude, do that. You like me? Cool. You got Twitter? Yeah? You got Facebook? Cool. Do me a solid. Follow me on there. I want to interact with you. I want to talk to you. You know what I like. Obviously, you like what I like, so we got something in common. Maybe we can build some type of I don't know, friendship or whatever, acquaintances or whatever that way. But yeah, follow me on those platforms. Because see, when I hear, hey, you're always kind of sounding contradicting, first thing I'm going to say is, okay, give me examples. Okay, you're talking about one instance. Okay, now give me another instance. Because that way, if I'm saying something that you're not really sure about, and it's kind of like, wait a minute, Lee said this one week, and now he's saying this, I don't understand, like what the hell is going, get on me so I can let you know right then and there, and you don't need for me to go, here's a long ass drawn out message for you. You can keep it simple. You can say, Lee, you brought up this point, and the very next week you kind of went in this direction. Maybe you could do it on Facebook, but could you, like, maybe next time you do the show, could you maybe go into this a little bit more? Because I'm a little bit confused. Hey, Lord knows I ask you guys all the time, hey, if you got something you want me to tackle on the show, you got a question or whatever, come at me, let me hear it, and I'll work on it. So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. But usually my MO, when I talk about some of the topics that's on my mind for this week, I look at the good, I look at the bad, I look at the indifferent, and usually I find that silver lining. I tend to let you know where I stand, but at the same time, there are many instances where there'll be something else that I'll be thinking about that usually I'll just put out there on the table. And that's usually my MO. I just put it all out there for you. How you walk away from what I talk about, that's up to you. All I really do, though, do I give opinions? Do I give my analysis? Yes, I do. And I am one to admit that from time to time, I will definitely piggyback and say, hey, I felt this way. But now I feel this way, and let me explain to you the reason why. But when it comes to the talk of maybe, let's say, Roman Reigns, well, I've always been very consistent on that. And I have told you guys since day one, and I do not mind reiterating this again. When I first had laid eyes on the Shield, when I first had looked at the Shield, and I'm going, I smell good money. And then I'm just thinking about down the road, what would happen if these guys were to break up. I'm thinking about who would be that nice, great breakout star. I gotta tell you, off the break, my particular order, and I've said this many times over the years, my particular order, I thought for sure that Dean Ambrose was maybe going to go the heel route. I thought he was going to be a really good, awesome heel. I thought Roman Reigns had a little bit of something going on. I saw a bright career ahead of him. I really did not think Seth Rollins was going to cut it. That's the honest truth. I really did not. Out of the Shield, I thought he was going to be the weakest. And now we fast forward and see what's going on right now. And isn't it interesting? Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, they're kind of like jockeying for that number one spot. They're kind of almost technically going back and forth. Dean is kind of like on the outside looking in right now. It's amazing how his rise just kind of, his mediocre rise just kind of came and then it went. Just to think, same time last year, he had, what was that, guys? A street fight or whatever with Brock Lesnar, and then look at where he was with this past year's WrestleMania. Just think about that for a second. You go back to last year, he had that roadblock WWE Network exclusive joint with Triple H for the title. And then after that, he went to WrestleMania. He did his thing with Brock Lesnar. And then you just think about what happened after that, and then you fast forward to like what happened right now. You talk about just kind of like, damn, what a decline that is significantly. What a serious decline. So, I mean, you know, you look at that, and I look at Roman Reigns, and since day one, I told you guys, I see money in this guy. This guy's going to be a force to reckon with for years to come. I never went in the direction of, I know many people are feeling this right now, but for me personally, I looked at this guy just as I looked at Dave Bautista. The very first time I laid eyes on Dave Bautista, he was basically the muscle / bodyguard for Devon Dudley back when he was doing the Reverend gimmick. He was Brother Devon. Oh, my brother, testify. And I'm going, damn, look at this dude, Batista. And then when I was telling my friends about him, one of my friends was like, oh yeah, he's been doing this thing down in OVW. I'm like, for real? And I saw a little bit of his early footage stuff from OVW, and I'm like, shh. And I told my friends the very first time that I saw him on Smackdown debut and shit, I'm like, this dude got some serious money. And they're like, you think so? I was like, I smell it. My friends will tell you. I called it. I said, that is money. That guy's going to be a force to reckon with. And I took it a step further. I said, not only is that guy going to be a force to reckon with in wrestling, that guy's going to be a force to reckon with in Hollywood whenever he decides he want to focus on Hollywood. And my friends were like, man, you fucking crazy, man. You know, get out of here. And then the next thing you know, what happened for Dave Bautista? Probably one of the biggest moments that happened for him and his career to really help propel him to the next level was when he had joined Evolution. So when I looked at Roman Reigns, I'm like instantly going, damn, this has the traces of a Dave Bautista. But somewhere along the way, Roman got lost in translation because certain people in the WWE, they basically decided, well, you know what? We got John Cena. He's like on his way out. We know this. We're not going to have John Cena around forever, and it's kind of time for us to go to that next phase in the WWE. It's time to start thinking about the future, what direction we want to go with the company in the next 10 years. And I mean, without a shadow of doubt, Roman Reigns, great looking guy. The young girls that's like getting to that point where they're starting to discover their own body, puberty and all that, they just are like crazy for this guy. Grown women, they've got the hots. They're crazy for this dude. We've got grown-ass men that envy this dude for his looks. They wish that they could be him, because if they had his looks, they would be getting so much tail. Why they even get white tail? That's how freaking popular they think they would be. You got the little boys that are looking at him and, oh, you keep get the Superman punch. Wham! Ha 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 ha! Spear! So, I mean, they're seeing all this shit that's going on. So everybody, to a certain degree, they like this Roman Reigns guy. Need I remind you, one of the top merchandise pushers for the WWE, right? So WWE, they see all these great things when they look at this guy. They see just like, man, so many good things we can do with this man. Man, this is our John Cena. This is our next John Cena. Now, see, when I hear next John Cena, what I think is, oh, your next merchandise pusher. Your next, hey, this guy is going to bring the asses to the seats. This guy is going to sell the tickets at the gates. That's what I'm thinking about when I hear, oh, your next John Cena. Now, what WWE has been doing with the man, that's an entirely different story. Call it how you want to call it. If you ask me straight up, I will tell you all honestly, it is kind of coming off like Roman Reigns is getting the John Cena push. Now, what is the John Cena push? It's opposite of what I told you I thought was going to happen with Roman. No, instead, what is happening is Roman is being shoved down the fans' throats. This is basically WWE. They're saying, look, we like this guy. He looks good. We see a very bright career ahead of him for years to come. This is going to be your face of the company for the next batch of years. And the fans are going, no, this is not who we want. We do not want this guy being shoved down our throats. Don't tell us who we are to root for. We're telling you what we like. And right now, this is who we like. And look, I've always been a firm believer in every fan has the right. Even myself, when I go to events, every fan has the right to go to a WWE live event and they can boo, they can cheer, they can heckle. If they want to use profanity, that is their right as well. They are paying for those seats. They can say and do anything that they want to do. That is legal. That is legal. They're part of the show. They're interacting. That is their right. So it blends into a very interesting scenario that came about, and I talked about it on the Monday night stream, which is you had these chants to kick off Raw as everybody was celebrating the Undertaker, his career, chanting him. And, the longer this went, you couldn't help but go, sooner or later, it's going to morph into Roman sucks. And sure enough, it did. And then you get fuck you, Roman. And then you get delete. And then you get Roman sucks. Roman sucks. Roman sucks. So, you get all of this that's just going down in like the first 20 minutes of the show. And Roman Reigns standing there like a true soldier. No doubt, Vince, Triple H, they've been around this for many years. They've been around the block for many years now. They don't seen it all. They know these crowds. They've been to these territories many times. Same deal with Pat Patterson, Michael Hayes. They all probably sat Roman Reigns down and they was like, look, gotta let you know, you probably going to be experiencing something you ain't never experienced before in your entire life. This is going to be something that you're going to be remembering for years to come, that you're going to be able to tell your kids, and your kids are going to be able to tell your grandkids about it. This is something that is going to be very memorable. We want to prepare you because they're going to be coming at you. They're going to be coming at you with so much heat. Be prepared, but do not falter. Do not break, because if you break, they know they got you. So stand your ground. even though he wasn't saying anything. I mean, just think about that for a second. Just imagine being like a wrestling fan, and here you are 24 hours removed from having the most significant victory storyline wise of your entire career, because you retired The Undertaker, who's been at it for almost 35 years. You don't think there's going to be hate? You already know the fans don't like you, but now they have even more of a reason to hate you. I give credit to Triple H, Vince McMahon, Michael Hayes, Pat Patterson. I give everybody a lot of credit for really preparing Roman. He did not look like, this is breaking me. He did not look like that. And I heard some rumor floating around that apparently he forgot what the hell he was supposed to say. Like, a lot of people were like, look, he tried to go into his hand. He was looking at his hand like he forgot his line. No, honestly, the way I interpreted that, as well as many of you, maybe he was just doing that just to kind of say, I got these guys in the palm of my hand. So that's the way I kind of interpreted that, to each its own. But I saw that little bit of a gesture. I really didn't look too much into it until it was pointed out to me. And I'm like, I usually have Raw on the DVR anyway. So I usually go back, I watch it again, try to see, what it was that maybe I might have missed. And I really did not, it's kind of reaching. I really did not see anything there, to be perfectly honest with you. But for Roman to stand there in the ring and take that type of verbal abuse. Now, I'm not saying, oh, poor Roman Reigns. No, I'm not saying that. For him to stand there and take that type of verbal abuse, I mean, I'm sorry, but if I'm a promoter and I'm trying to start up my own wrestling promotion and I'm trying to figure out who's going to be the face for my company, and I see this guy like Roman Reigns, this young man, and he's able to handle a crowd like that. Think about the hostile environments that this guy has been in. And it's like, man, well, if people are reacting to him like that, and see, here is the thing that I want to bring home. And this is very important. I don't see that many people talking about this. Everybody's going, fuck Roman Reigns, fuck that. And it's like, first things first, recognize the fact that what you are watching on a weekly basis is, at the end of the day, a scripted show. You are watching men and women perform as characters. Characters that you either cheer or characters that you boo. And I think for a lot of you guys, now look, if you are maybe under the age of 18, hey, I totally get it. It's a young thing. I get it. But if you're past 18, I mean, you're in your 30s, 40s and up, and fuck Roman, man, fuck that nigga. And it's kind of like, whoa, dude, slow down a little bit. I want you all to ask yourself something. Do you hate Roman Reigns, the character, or are you hating the man, the actor behind the character? I want you to ask yourself that first. And I'm not sticking up for Roman Reigns, but at the same time, have I always been an advocate? Have I always been a supporter of Roman Reigns? Yes, I have. But I'm honestly putting that to the side, and I want you all to really ask yourself that question. Ask yourself that. Are you truly separating the man from the character? Because if you are separating the man from the character, then the next question I want you to ask yourself is, well, why do you hate Roman Reigns? And if your answer is, well, because this guy is being shoved down my fucking throat so much, it's almost kind of feeling like John Cena. And dude, I'm not really interested in the next 10 years being dominated by this guy that honestly, his promos are kind of somewhat the drizzles. Nobody ever complains about his matches. And I think that should be a testament. When it comes to his matches, he always delivers. As far as like a 1 to a 5-point scale, I would have to say, depending on who his dance partner is, for the most part, his matches are usually 3 stars. Usually 3 stars. Depending on the opponent, I've seen situations where it was like, wow, that was actually pretty damn good. That exceeded my expectations. and it would be a 4-star match. I have yet to see him go past a 4-star. And he's only, for me in my book, he's only gotten a 4-star just a handful of times. I can't even go to my second hand. He's only got them a handful of times since I've been watching him. And everybody can say, well, like what Matthew is saying, he has 3 moves. Well, you know what? That's the same thing that a lot of people were kind of saying about John Cena. But you get him with the right dance partner, and I mean, somehow this guy is able to make a match look really good. I mean, for a guy like John Cena that supposedly only has 3 moves, does anybody remember the match that made CM Punk say, hey, you know what? I want to get back in on this wrestling. Does anybody remember what that match was? It was a Monday night edition of Raw. John Cena, Shawn Michaels, they were pretty much the main event. And that was the match that made CM Punk say, I need to get off my ass, because what he saw that night made him realize why he had fell in love with wrestling in the first place. And he immediately got on the phone and was like, hey man, I'm itching to come back. I just saw this match. What the hell is going on? So, I mean, when you really, really stop and think about it, you either got some type of talent or you don't have any type of talent. Roman Reigns does have talent. It is not of the likes of a Chris Jericho. It is not of the likes of a Kevin Owens. If I were to make some type of a comparison in describing Roman Reigns' moveset, honestly, I would say it has 3 components that jump at my mind from the following wrestlers: Samoa Joe, Hulk Hogan, and the third guy I would have to go with maybe what's a good third guy? A good third guy, Rhino. That would, if you were to take Rhino, Samoa Joe, and God, I just had the third guy. Rhino, Samoa Joe, who's the third guy that I just... Oh, and Hulk Hogan. If you were to put those 3, mix them up, moveset-wise, that's pretty much Roman Reigns. And you know what? For me personally, there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. Now, can you balance that out with good looks? Roman has that. Okay, can you balance that out with some good promos? Many times we have seen Roman Reigns deliver some decent promos, but then just when it seems as though he's making progress, guess what? And it's not all entirely his fault. It's what the WWE writers are coming up with for the guy. We've seen him cut promos that are the drizzling shits, and it's like, wait a minute, get this dude off my TV. Honestly, I'm man enough to admit that to you guys. But Roman Reigns, I just really want you all to understand and try to ask yourselves why you are hating Roman Reigns. And let me tell you something. You all are not helping and I had this conversation earlier today with somebody on YouTube, and I loved it. And I've been saying this for years now. With regards to John Cena, same rules apply here with Roman Reigns and for any performer that you don't like. Look, I'm old school. I've come from that age as a wrestling fan where it's like any reaction is better than no reaction at all. And let me tell you something. Love him, hate him, boo him, cheer him. Guess what you're doing with a guy like Roman Reigns? You are reacting. And if you really do not like Roman Reigns, you know what you should be doing? You should not be reacting to this guy at all. You should not be reacting to this man at all. When this man comes out, do not cheer. Do not boo. You do him like the WrestleMania halftime show. You do him like the cruiserweights, and you say, oh, time to go take a shit. That's what you say. That's what you do. Okay, Roman Reigns is coming now. I'm going to go to the concession stand and I'm going to go get some food. Anybody want anything? Anybody need some more drinks? That's how you do it. When Roman Reigns comes out, you do any and everything else but cheer, root him on. When you have little Jimmy Crack Corn and I don't care right there, Mommy, Daddy, I want Roman Reigns t-shirt. I want Roman Reigns gloves so I can do a Superman punch. You say, sorry, but we don't have enough money for Roman Reigns merchandise. We only have enough money to really get some food, and maybe we can get you something else from the merchandise stand. Put that money towards something else. Do not buy Roman Reigns merchandise. Do not. If you are that wrestling fan and you cannot stand the guts of Roman Reigns, do all of those things. Let me tell you something. WWE, they noticed that shit. Hit them where it fucking hurts. Hit WWE where it hurts. Hit them in the ratings. Hit them in their pockets. That is how you can make your statement heard loudly and clearly. They will listen to you if you operate that way. They pay attention to those quarter segments. Even though a lot of the wrestling websites that's out there now, they want to kind of dummy down and they don't really want to report the projected final rating. Now everybody wants to go 2.6 million viewers this week. They want to do that silly little breakout. But look, silly little breakdown, WWE is still paying attention to what is happening during those quarter segments. And they are like, this person's kind of struggling. Who's involved in this segment again? And I'm telling you, you operate like that when that guy comes out, you do any and everything else, you stop buying the merchandise. You're hurting WWE where it counts the most. This is something that has happened time and time and time and time again. When you think about all the releases that has come about from the WWE over the years, a lot of the guys you can tally up and be like, man, this dude wasn't really pushing any merchandise anyway, really wasn't getting that much of a reaction from the crowd. That's. But when you continue to cheer or root this guy, what do you think that's going to do? That's going to make the fucking promoters go, hey, we got something special here with this guy. Look at the crowd here tonight. The crowd's really eating this up. What are we going to do with him next week? That it's just going to be a continuation. Why you think John Cena has lasted so fucking long? Seriously. To the point, Vince Russo put out this very interesting message that I thought was kind of like, okay, that's interesting. And he put out a tweet, and he basically said, and when he saw this segment go down with Roman Reigns and all that, he was like, shout out to tonight's Raw crowd. If you look like a mark, smell like a mark, and act like a mark, you're probably a mark. And he would follow that up saying, that's fun. If you're a respectful wrestling fan, it should be embarrassing. I never chant fuck you to any performer ever. Classless. I understand Vince Russo's perspective, and I'm saying this with all sincerity. I appreciate tremendously the contributions, be it good or bad. It had people talking when it's all said and done. It still has people talking to this very day. I appreciate everything that he has contributed to sports entertainment / professional wrestling. At the same time, he is coming from the mindset of a writer / booker, but he really needs to think more of this evolution of fans that are attending not just wrestling events, concert events, sporting events. It's changed. The times have changed. And I would love it if we could, just boo, just cheer, or don't do anything at all. No, I mean, honestly, I would have to say that probably within the last maybe 10 years, it's changed dramatically the way fans decide they want to interact at sporting events. And this is just the nature of the beast now. I mean, honestly, it's your right. I'm sorry, but you know, Mr. Russo, all due respect, but try saying that to a person who is spending $5,000 and up for WrestleMania weekend per head. Transportation, hotel expenses, travel, eating, merchandise. Try telling that family that's going for WrestleMania weekend and they got those first 3, 4, 5 row seats. Try saying to them, hey, look, you gotta do me a favor, okay? Look, you know, when Roman Reigns come out, see, bro, you gotta do me a favor. You gotta make sure you don't boo him, okay? I mean, you can boo him, right? You hear me, bro? You can boo Roman. That's cool. But don't say fuck you. Don't say suck dick, cause, you know, that's not really cool, alright? You know, we want to keep it classy. That's classless, okay, bro? You think you could do that? Fuck no. They're gonna be like, they're gonna laugh in your face 9 times out of 10. So, no, you know, respectfully, I gotta disagree with Mr. Russo. You know, the fans, you know, they are changing and we are just, you know, it is like a new revolution that is going on right now where, you know, this upcoming generation, the generation behind that one that's upcoming as well, being more vocal about, hey, this is right, this is wrong, this is what we like, this is what we don't like. It just incorporates into this whole movement thing that's currently going on as far as politics go. A lot of people never gave a damn about politics before, don't like what's going on with the direction of the company. Now more than ever, so many people are being vocal about what is going on. So, you know, respectfully, I gotta disagree with Mr. Russo. And, you know, shout out to Matthew. Matthew is out there overseas and all that. So, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. But ask yourself those questions, and then, like I said, if you are at that point where you are like, I don't like this guy because of XYZ, then you know what you need to do. I gave you the best advice as humanly possible. Now, if it's just a case where you have just personal disdain for that guy, you can't separate the actor from the gimmick, man, you got some serious issues. You may need to see a psychiatrist. That's the straight up truth. You may need to see a psychiatrist, but best of luck to you. So some other stuff that we can talk about on tonight's show. By the way, I see we got the Raw Shakeup, Smackdown Shakeup that's going to be going on. Both brands were teasing this. This is something that's going to be going down next week. You know, already talked about Raw. I really do not have anything in addition to say about Monday's WWE RAW. So for those of you that have missed the talk of Raw, it is available on the YouTube channel. Just look up youtube.com/the RCWR Show when you guys get a free moment. But I do want to talk about Smackdown. We really didn't see too much progress on Smackdown, but there were, you know what, if you did not watch Smackdown, if you thought maybe it was just going to be a bunch of rematches and all that, well, to a degree you were kind of right, but you missed out on some really cool stuff, man. So we had an awesome segment that came about leading up to it. Maurice and The Miz, they had promised that after this week, fans would never see Nikki Bella and John Cena again. And they actually were telling the truth, because Nikki Bella, she put out a tweet, I believe it was earlier today, and one of the things that she had said, and I gotta do a direct quote here, she said, if I'm not mistaken, yes, this isn't goodbye, just need time to heal. When the day is right, I will be back, and hopefully then Bree mode will be activated. Can't wait for the day I can lace up my kicks, throw on my jersey, and put on my snapback and come back home. Until then, stay fearless, Bella Army. That's what she had said on Twitter. And it looks as though, at least when you look up John Cena's profile, at least on Wikipedia, because I was looking up the entire WWE roster for who could possibly be part of this whole swap thing, they're saying that John Cena is inactive right now as he's off filming another movie. So no telling how long that is going to be lasting. But so yeah, Miz and Maurice, they were right on that standpoint. They came out dressed as Cena, Nikki Bella once again. Fans were eating this up. Still in Orlando, if I am not mistaken. I'm looking at my notes here. And I believe it was, yes, it was in Orlando. It was at the Amway Center in Orlando. So once again, they were coming to us from that area. And it was awesome. Their little skit, crowd was eating it up, really showing Miz and Maurice a lot of love, actually cheering the fact that Cena, Nikki Bella won't be seen again, more so Cena than Nikki Bella. And then all of a sudden we saw this violinist come out and he just starts doing this thing. And you're like, could it be? Is it even possible? Are you serious? And it's funny because he was actually going to be one of the first people I was going to put on my list. And he came out. I was like, shit, we'll scratch him off. Shinsuke Nakamura is now officially on the Smackdown roster. That is freaking awesome. I mean, he just pretty much came in there, did his little dance, got in the ring, crowd was eating that up. I'm loving it, honestly, as far as looking at the first batch of programs that's going to be coming his way. I would so much love to see him in a feud with The Miz. That's going to be an instant classic. Going a little bit past that, just to kind of follow up on what had went down with the two in New Japan Pro Wrestling. The match of the year candidate in Nakamura taking on AJ Styles. Now you're going to be able to introduce that for the WWE fan base. I think at this point, no, you do not have AJ Styles go over to Raw. I know so many people want to see the whole Bullet Club reform or the club and really take off, because it really did not go where it needed to go just when it was looking as though it was starting to gain a little bit of momentum. But no, I would actually leave AJ on SmackDown. And I think when it's all said and done, AJ's probably going to stay on SmackDown for the simple fact we saw a cool segment come about between Shane McMahon. Shane basically was talking about this whole shakeup that was coming about. AJ came out and he's like, look, man, I built SmackDown. I don't want to be traded, and if I got to put up a fight, so be it, but I don't want to go anywhere. And he actually told Shane, hey, look, I owe you something. And he actually gave Shane McMahon a handshake, basically appreciating what had went down at WrestleMania. I guess that was AJ Styles' way of saying, man, you went toe-to-toe with me. You got a lot of heart. You cool in my book. And that pretty much was it. So I think whatever beef was going on, it was squashed. Now, the question, does this mean that AJ Styles is a face now? Not a full-blown face. I don't think you need to go that route. I think the game you need to play with AJ Styles is, honestly, have him ride off what he had did with Shane O'Mac. Say, hey, look, not only did I do what I needed to do at WrestleMania and come out with the victory, but I defeated the commissioner of SmackDown, all the people that this guy had faced over the years, and I was able to pretty much beat him on the grandest stage of them all. Great opponent, he gave me a great fight and everything, but I mean, come on, man, I'm simply phenomenal. Get out of here. Now, what's up with my title shot? I'm still trying to chase after the champion. What's going on? Where's my title shot opportunity? I still see him being, still arrogant and all that other good jazz. And I think that's honestly needed, because I want to see a heel AJ Styles and Nakamura. So I'm just thinking about the instant feuds that could be happening for Nakamura. That would be awesome. I mean, God, if Randy Orton holds on to the title long enough, Randy Orton, Nakamura, that would be great as well. I could also see a pretty damn good matchup under the right circumstances if maybe Nakamura and Luke Harper had collided a little bit. For sure, for sure, Nakamura and Eric Rowan, that would be somewhat of a nice, strong matchup as well. But this was a great acquisition for SmackDown, much needed. I'm happy. I'm just on cloud nine right now, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen with this shakeup that we have coming up next week. But I actually went over the entire roster, and I was looking at some of the names. Some names jumped out at me as far as potentially what could come about. I'm not really seeing too much of a shakeup come about. I'm thinking, could there be some possible, wow, didn't anticipate that happening. Well, let me go over the card for you guys as far as like what I have coming about, and y'all can pretty much converse this amongst yourselves. But for my shakeup for next week, what I personally would like to see happen, looking at the and we should note, this is a WWE Shakeup. They're not calling it a draft, but you know how Vince McMahon loves to come out there and he likes to go, "It's time to shake things up once again." Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much Vince McMahon in a nutshell. So, personally, what I would like to see go down is the following, and I will explain the reasons why just very briefly without going into overkill, because these are a lot of names I got to go through, and I want to go through them quickly. Bo Dallas, I want to see go from Raw to Smackdown. I have always appreciated the work of Bo Dallas. I've been a big fan. I've been a supporter of his since his tenure in NXT. I love that whole Tony Robbins gimmick thing that he had going on. I thought that was like the best damn thing that he had. And it just seemed like when he first went to SmackDown, future was looking bright. Then next thing you know, he gets pulled to the Raw, and like real quickly, he just becomes a laughing stock. We saw him in so many variations on Raw over the past several months. It's just like, I don't think he should be released by the company. I still see a lot of great potential in this man. I damn sure do not see a scenario where you go, well, maybe do you send him to NXT? Let him refresh his character a little bit. No, I'm not seeing that whatsoever. That's not even an option. What he needs is a better, more tighter group of bookers, writers that can really take advantage of key traits in his character that he's putting out there. You really kind of give him that proper time to shine, and with a platform like Talking Smack, I think he would excel. So me personally, I'd like to see Bo Dallas kind of go back to basics. I'd love to see him go over to SmackDown. I actually would have him be a heel, and maybe at some point in the near future, I don't really know, maybe he and The Miz could come to some type of an arrangement. Maybe they could be some type of a tag team, or maybe they could have mutual interests and kind of look out for each other's best interests. Does that mean interfering in each other's matches? Maybe, but I want to see him go over to SmackDown for a fresh start. Another person who I want to see go over for a fresh start, one Curtis Axel. He would be going from Raw to SmackDown. I'd like to see him go over. When it's all said and done, I know this guy, hear me out. I know he has had opportunities. I remember, trust me, I remember very well. I'm not going to go down history lane with you all, or memory lane with you all. But for me, he's 37 years of age. There's still a lot that he can contribute. So many times we saw scenarios occur where it was looking as though Curtis Axel was finally starting to scratch the surface. He was finally starting to break on through to the other side. And I think one of the greatest examples of that is what he had going on with Axelmania. I mean, that was really catching on. People were getting behind that. You know, they were loving it. And if you ask me honestly, the Michael McGillicuddy or the Curtis Axel, just plain old bland Curtis Axel, it really wasn't going anywhere. And when he just started having fun personality wise with the Axelmania character, that kind of made him relevant. So if you ask me honestly, I would love to see Axelmania temporarily make some type of a comeback. I think if you're going to bring Curtis Axel back, you bring him back as Axelmania, and you can do it now that time has passed, and it appears as though WWE and the Hulkster, they're on good graces again. Now his name is in heavy rotation. Now you're seeing him in like little video packages and all that. I think it's just a matter of time. If I were a betting man, definitely before 2017 is up, if I were to kind of go a little bit more like closer in a time frame, if not before or by SummerSlam, I think Hulk Hogan will be back. But I like to see Curtis Axel kind of come back that way just for a little bit, and then maybe eventually drop the Axel gimmick. But there's a part of me that really wants him to have a true fair shot, I think he would definitely be able to exceed well on the roster. And I'm not sure how much longer Zack Ryder is going to be out of there, because he's inactive right now with an injury and all that. But, if Mojo Rawley maybe needs an occasional tag partner, I think Curtis Axel would actually complement him very well, whether it's just as Curtis Axel with a jazzed up personality that he can kind of take off of the Axelmania character, or it can be Axelmania teaming up with Mojo Rawley, which, by the way, on SmackDown tonight, Mojo Rawley, he pretty much had promised that what's going on with this Andre the Giant Memorial win for him, he's going to use it to propel him to that next level as he's just getting started. So, curious to see how that's going to come about in the coming weeks. But there's my other pick as far as who'd go from Raw to SmackDown. These next two, you should be paying very close attention to, because storyline continuity wise, this makes a lot of sense. And Freddie had brought up a good point, which is something that I was talking about. And the question he had raised was, does WWE even give a damn about the fans, because they never tend to give us what we want or whatever? And I'm kind of going yes and no. The short answer, no, they're going to do what they want to do, because certain people in the company, one Vince McMahon, feels he knows what's best for you. Whereas when you look at what Triple H is doing down in NXT, and you got to give Triple H a lot of credit, over the years, it's taken him time, but he's finally getting to that point where Vince is now kind of going, well, if you think that's best, I trust you. Go ahead, Hunter. It's kind of getting to that point now. And to just validate that point, really home in on the main event match for Monday Night Raw. You had 4 guys that all at one point held the NXT championship. They were now in a tag match, main eventing, closing out Monday Night Raw. As one listener had said, probably the only thing that was missing was Bo Dallas just making a goddamn cameo and doing the little flying airplane all around the ring, because at one point he did hold on to the NXT world title as well. So if what you had saw Monday night and just everything that has happened in the past 48 hours with who from NXT had came on up to Raw and SmackDown respectfully, if that isn't a sign that that Vince is trying to loosen up his position, I'm not sure what will convince you. I think what will probably convince you a little bit more is better booking, really feeling as though your opinion is being appreciated as far as who you want to see get pushed, who you don't want to see get pushed. A matter of opinion with that one, but it is what it is. But these next two I want you to pay very close attention to, because it ties into storyline continuity. And for these two to be missed in being drafted, it would be storyline stupidity booking 101 once again. So hopefully it doesn't go in this direction. I don't want storyline stupidity booking 101. I don't. I want for storyline continuity. Sami Zayn needs to go from Raw to SmackDown. You understand the reason why? If not, let me paint the ways for you all. So for the longest time, we have seen Stephanie McMahon have some type of a hard-on for Sami Zayn. She has always tried to belittle him, undermine him any possible way that she can. Simply put, she just doesn't like him. And here is a really good comparison. The relationship that Stephanie McMahon has with Sami Zayn, what it reminds me of? Has anybody ever seen that great all-star cast of a movie? Glenn Gary, Glenn Ross, you had Alec Baldwin, Al Pacino, Kevin Spacey, Jack Lemmon, I think was Harvey Keitel. No, I don't think Harvey Keitel was in that one, but it was a great all-star cast that was in that movie. And Kevin Spacey had played like this asshole smug of a boss that nobody fucking liked. And one of the people that was always trying to get on his good side was Jack Lemon's character. He basically was like, you know, hey man, I'm trying to go out here. I'm trying to do what I need to do. I'm trying to get these leads for you, man, but I need a little bit of help. These leads that you got for me, they're shit. Because the leads that they were selling, if I remember it right, basically it was, what were they selling? They were selling timeshares or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. They were like recruiters or sellers, and they basically were selling, trying to convince people, hey, buy this property over here. This property is really, you know, fucking awesome. You know, you fucking you'd love it. Matter of fact, I'm looking at the Wikipedia here for the description of the movie here. Basically, you had Chicago real estate agents, and they were prepared to engage in a number of unethical, illegal acts, lies, bribery, threats, intimidation, burglary. You know, they were trying to sell undesirable real estate to unwitting prospective buyers. That was basically the movie in a nutshell. And Jack Lemon's character, he was trying hard to get the Kevin Spacey character to, you know, hook him up. But like the way Kevin Spacey's character had acted, it was like, okay, I'm not going to give you the opportunity. It's not going to be given to you just like that on the silver platter. You know, dude, like, I don't really fucking like you. I can't stand you. If I could have had it my way, your ass would have been out of here a long time ago. I wanted to fire your ass, but Big Boss wants to give you another shot, so it is what it is. But no, I'm not going to help you. That's kind of like how Stephanie McMahon reminds me. She reminds me so much of that Kevin Spacey character. So for me, storyline continuity wise, I would imagine Stephanie McMahon is at home. She's seeing her father on TV making the announcement that Kurt Angle is now the new Raw general manager. She sees that Sami Zayn in a backstage segment is trying to kiss ass, and he's trying to fucking, you know, kiss on up to Kurt Angle, maybe put himself in a position where, you know, maybe some good things can happen for his career in the long haul. Well, you know what? It makes all the sense for me in the world for Stephanie McMahon to somehow kind of have a last laugh, even though she's from afar. She still has authority. Sooner or later, Kurt Angle is going to have to bump heads with Stephanie McMahon. You heard what Vince McMahon said. She's out for the foreseeable future. Well, this could be her way of having a last laugh. Sami Zayn, she does whatever she needs to do. She pulls strings or whatever. But she gets her last laugh. Sami Zayn, he goes to Smackdown. I want Sami on Smackdown. I don't think, as the card currently stands for the Raw main roster, at most, if the guy is lucky, he'll compete for the United States title or the Intercontinental title. That's his immediate future. And I don't know about you guys, I'm ready to see this guy go to the main event level already. I'm ready to see him constantly be in the main event picture on the pay-per-views. I'm ready to see how he would do as a champion. So I think to really give this guy a fresh start, I've been advocating this off and on for the past couple of months now. Let's pull the trigger. Sami Zayn, he goes from Raw to SmackDown. Another one that makes perfect sense, continuity-wise. This may be a controversial one, but you'll understand where I'm going with this. Seth Rollins, he needs to be drafted over to SmackDown. Simply put, it's easy. Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, pissed off. Stephanie McMahon decides to use her power and say, hey, you gonna learn the hard way that the authority, what is it that she always says? The authority always wins. The authority always gets what they want. Well, think about that for a second. No doubt, Vince McMahon was probably a little bit upset what happened with his daughter. You know, Triple H is upset. You know, the Stephanie McMahon character by now, she's definitely upset. So how's she going to get the big payback? How's she going to get the ultimate laugh? That's how it will go down. Even though she's doing this from a distance, you know, it's one good ha-ha for the Stephanie McMahon character, but it's an awesome moment for us as fans, because we'll be getting what we want in a shakeup and seeing these guys go over to SmackDown, especially for Sami Zayn alone. That would be good. And then, just look at all the opportunities that these guys would have over on SmackDown. Just refreshing as far as when you think about the feuds and all that. A lot of good directions you can go over there, and you got already a good balance of heels that's over there. So this will actually work out pretty well. Now, another one I want to see go over to SmackDown, Alicia Fox. I just want her to be done with the whole valet for Noam Dar 205. She's still young, if I'm not mistaken. I believe she's now 30. Still has a lot to offer. I have yet to really see her get involved in this new women's revolution. And need I remind you guys, Alicia Fox knows how to fucking wrestle. So I don't understand why such great potential that she has, why it's being wasted being some fucking valet for some guy on the show that nobody really wants to watch, and they either want to go walk the dog, take a dump, do any and everything else but watch it, and then when it comes on a pay-per-view or whatever, they want to go do any and everything else but watch that. So that's a waste of her talent. And honestly, you've got two women's divisions. There's no reason why you need to have the same rotating 5 females every single week. The same 5 women every single week. There's no reason for that. So honestly, shake it up a little bit. Throw some new blood into the mix. Put Alicia Fox in there. Also, Dana Brooke. I gave her an honorable mention. I wanted to see her go over on SmackDown. But given what we had saw on Monday Night Raw, seeing her with Bayley and Sasha Banks, I think that's actually going to help her in the long haul if she continues to work with them. So, but there was a part of me that wanted to see her go to SmackDown, but now not so much. Nia Jax. This was a tough pill for me to go with, and I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm going with Nia Jax in a nutshell. Reason why is because she has suffered too many defeats in my book. Right down to the point, we saw her team lose on Raw this week. So it's kind of like, okay, well, how does that help her out? How does that continue to build her up? And honestly, it really doesn't. Now, I'm still a firm believer that Nia Jax will be a women's champion. Her career, it's still looking very good. But you can't keep having her be in these positions where she keeps taking these losses like that, and there's really nothing to truly gain from it. So I know what we had saw Nia Jax, she now is kind of like beefing with Charlotte and kind of beefing with Emma, and honestly, for me, I want to see her go over to SmackDown. I think she would excel more on SmackDown. I mean, do you notice that? It seems like everybody that's going over there to SmackDown, with the exception of a couple of people, they're really able to benefit because it really seems a bit more contained. It seems a bit more concentrated. Like, okay, this person's kind of lacking in this. How can we? And it's really been helping certain cats. I mean, The Miz has been able to benefit from it. Baron Corbin, he's coming along. He's starting to grow on me, but he's been able to take advantage of SmackDown. Who else has been able to take advantage of SmackDown? AJ Styles tremendously has been able to take advantage of SmackDown. Alexa Bliss, for sure. Oh my God, just off the gate. I mean, she's been... So I think she would do better going over to SmackDown. Now, let's talk about some of the things that could happen from the Raw side. Now, from the Raw side, because you got to balance it out, right? So for the Raw side, I am seeing Mickie James. Let her go on over to Raw. The instant classic matches that she can have with Sasha Banks, with Bayley, with Charlotte alone. Oh my God. Emma. I mean, that would really be freaking awesome. So yeah, I want to see Mickie James go over to Raw. Here's an interesting one for you guys. Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. I want to see them get drafted over to Monday Night Raw. I think that would be a very good shakeup over there. Look, their run in Smackdown, it is just not working. It is just not working. And I'm a little bit disappointed because I had high hopes for these guys. Was big fans of their work down in NXT. And whatever momentum they had from NXT did not carry over, after maybe 2 weeks being on the SmackDown roster. Now, I would normally say blame it on the writers, but the fans just don't seem to be gelling with them on the SmackDown roster. Combine that with also the fact that every time you turn around, these guys are off for several weeks. You got to do something with that tag team division, and it's coming off to me that they're a little bit stale. Things aren't really clicking with them. I think, honestly, you let them go over to the Raw side of things. You let them mash it up with the Revival. You let them get it on with New Day. You let them get that rub off from the New Day. You let them get that rub off and work some programs with the Hardys. That, make no mistake about it, that is going to be your future tag team for years to come, whether they're holding the Raw tag titles or they're holding the SmackDown tag titles. There is still enough cachet to invest in Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, but as it stands right now, they're a little bit lost in the shuffle. Sadly on SmackDown, it's not really clicking. Let them get the rub off from those guys I mentioned on Raw. I think it would be very detrimental to their continuing development. Now, continuing on, this next pick, you all may kind of be like, Mauro Ranallo. I would have him go from SmackDown to Raw. Simply put, there is some type of hostility that is going on between Mauro, JBL. Look, I normally don't like reporting this type of stuff, but when I hear this and I think about the checkered history of JBL as far as validation, I believe that this is legit. JBL has taken shots at Mauro way before Mauro went out due to mental health illness. And I just don't like how JBL is acting. I mean, for WWE to always be saying, don't be a bully, be a star, and all that other shit, for Mauro to be at the hands of JBL and all this bullshit bullying, I'm not really feeling it. And JBL, honestly, it's like, dude, take a step back and take a chill pill. Mauro does not, and I could be wrong. Look, I don't know Mauro. We all don't know Mauro, but just my 2 cents from a glance, Mauro comes off like, I really don't want to deal in conflict. I really don't want this. You're going to agitate me, and I don't want to go to that weird place in my mind. I don't want to go there. I need to get away from this. Some people are like that. Some people, they can just, you say something wrong to them, it can trigger a serious mood swing, and it can take them a long time to get out of that. So, following up on all of this drama that's going on with these two men, I know that's probably going to break a lot of hearts, but honestly, if it means that you can avoid a physical altercation, if it means that, honestly, the work environment can be more productive and it can be more friendlier, then in the long haul, I'm for this. Not to mention, this will put Mauro in a position where he can continue to be with what's probably his friend in Michael Cole, because Michael Cole is the one that brought him to the WWE. So we already have heard the reports that in the next couple of years, Michael Cole is seriously trying to make the transition away from being at the announcer's table and, take some type of a executive role in the company, kind of be behind the scenes and everything. So honestly, thinking about the future long term, I got to be honest with you all. For the time being, I like the idea of Michael Cole, Corey Graves, Mauro Ranallo. It ain't a white thing, because if you notice, all three guys are white. It ain't a white thing whatsoever. Now, some of you guys may be going, well, Lee, if you're going to take Mauro from SmackDown and you're going to put him on Raw, well, shit, dude, did you just by default say Saxton is gone? Yeah, Saxton is gone. Saxton would go over to SmackDown in exchange for Mauro. So your new Shakeup lineup for Raw, it would be Michael Cole, Mauro Ranallo, Corey Graves. Your SmackDown team, it would be JBL, Tom Phillips, and Byron Saxton. Now, if you ask me, well, what do you do with David Otunga? Here's a prelude, because we're going to talk about it next week. Now that WrestleMania is over, there's a little something called spring cleaning, or as I'm going to be dubbing it next week, Konnichiwa or Sayonara. That's the game we're going to be playing next week. But just to give you a little bit of an early preview, David Otunga, don't let the door hit you on the ass, buddy. We'll try to find something else for you in the company because you are a very articulate man. You know the law very well. You can help us with any legal formalities, any legal issues that we may have. You would definitely be able to help us out from that standpoint. But you're commentating, I think, in a nice way put, you have reached your peak. That's the very nice way I can put it. I will let you all just have fun at that one, but considering how I just laid it out, I think there would be an overwhelming majority of you all that would actually be just fine without David Otunga no longer doing the commentating. All right, so that's that. And then from NXT, I am seeing the following. I am seeing, if it was me now, Andrea Almas. WWE has been struggling to find that next Latin guy, that next Eddie Guerrero. Ever since Eddie passed, they've been struggling. Ray, his own credit, he stepped up and he did pretty good. Alberto Del Rio, for what it was worth, he did okay. Definitely not this last rodeo round, but the first go round and all that, he did good to an extent. But WWE has been struggling, but I see, from what I've been seeing of Almas off and on the past couple of months, I really believe in this dude. This dude is talented as hell. He is oozing with charisma. When I say oozing, I don't mean like, oh God, I don't mean Eddie Guerrero oozing charisma, but he has more charisma. He's more entertaining. I actually stop and will watch what Almas is doing more so than Primo and Epico, and that should say a lot to you guys. Now, I don't know if maybe you do some type of a Latin stable with Primo, Epico, and Almas. Maybe that can kind of help all three of those guys out or whatever, because for whatever reason, WWE still believes that there's something there with Primo and Epico. I don't know. But for me, I would love to see Almas come over and do his thing on the Raw side of things. Going to SmackDown from NXT, I have the following, and you all will probably be like, Lee, I fucking hate your guts. Why are you going this route, man? Simply put, he gets a damn reaction, and any reaction is better than no reaction at all. And every time this guy comes out, he is always getting booed. And I love that people say, oh, you can't wrestle. And I mean, they really come at this guy with so much hate. I'm just picturing it magnified times 10. I like the gimmick. I like the gimmick. I can see a lot of fun things happening with this gimmick, especially if they do it in a way where he is such a obnoxious asshole that you just want to put down your money for the WWE Network. Put your money down for a pay-per-view just to see his ass kicked. But he keeps eluding it, but eventually he's going to get his ass kicked, and he's going to get his ass kicked in a really good way. He's almost kind of got that. He's almost kind of got the potential of having that Bobby the Brain manager Heenan type of heat. You want to see him finally get his. That's the type of heat I've seen of him down from NXT, and I think WWE, at least on the SmackDown side of things, they might be able to kind of enhance and capitalize. The Drifter. I wish I was joking. contrary to how some people may feel, I actually kind of like the Drifter. I actually do. Enough said. Enough said. Also, from NXT to Smack, and I think something may happen with the Drifter, in all seriousness, because on March 29th for an episode of NXT, I don't know if maybe that's already aired or if that's going to be airing in a couple of weeks, but there was a loser leaves NXT match that went down with Cassius Ohno and the Drifter. So I wouldn't be that surprised if I'm kind of on to something right there. I want to put the highlight on the United Champion, the United Kingdom Champion, Tyler Bate. I actually would have him drafted to Smackdown. And I would use that as an opportunity to get fans very familiar with this young man and see if also maybe they can bring in some exclusive talent once a week from the United Kingdom to face him for the championship. I think you kind of got to get that brand awareness going, because when I say to you guys, oh yeah, there's a United Kingdom champion, you go, when the fuck did that happen, right? Yeah, there was something called the United Kingdom Tournament. And you're like, huh? On the network. So I almost forgot this guy was on the roster. I know he defended the title on an episode of NXT several weeks back, but like, to my knowledge, we haven't seen or heard anything about him since. I could be mistaken, but just to kind of jazz it up a little bit, we know our good friends over in the UK, they eventually get SmackDown anyway a couple of days later. Makes a lot of sense to try to incorporate him, especially for a nice easy transition when the WWE gets ready to launch the weekly United Kingdom series. So that makes a lot of sense right there. Other than that, that's pretty much it. That is how I have the entire thing being shaken up right now. Joe has a question with regards to what I do with the Apollo Crews, the character, the gimmick, the change, next opponent. Honestly, God, that's really tough. I've seen his work on the independents, and I've seen him do his thing as a heel. Maybe at this point as a last ditch effort, because the milk face baby face thing, it's just not clicking for the guys. So maybe you need to have him kind of go the heel route. You know, I don't know if that would really help him. It would kind of be my last ditch effort, though. I don't even know if a rub off from Sami Zayn might help him, or if a rub off from Nakamura may help him. There was one feud that I was very interested in, two feuds actually that come to my mind that I thought was going to go somewhere. I saw something of potential with Miz. Didn't really go the route I thought it was going to go. It got dropped real quick. And I'm kind of saying maybe you can still do something with that. And then there's another part of me that's like, well, what about AJ Styles? Surely AJ Styles could really help take Apollo Crews on that next level. I mean, if you didn't want to go the heel route just yet, you wanted to have him stay face a little bit longer, I would say try to see what you could do with him in those respective feuds. And if it's still not gelling just yet, then maybe you turn him. And if turning him doesn't work, I think you got to let him go. Now, do you let him go this calendar year? No, I think you can play around with him a little bit longer just to see if things can kind of pick up, you know, put a little bit, but you got to put a little bit more time into it. You got to try to commit. If you're not going to commit and he's just there on the roster, that's just a wasted space as far as I'm concerned. So, and Brendan is saying apparently it aired last week before Mania, that match between Cassius Ohno and the Drifter. Apparently it happened on NXT last week before Mania had began. So yeah, I wouldn't be too surprised if something happens there with Elias Sampson. We'll see how that plays. You have one unopened save, including this interface allows you to send a glass of lemonade. Oh, yeah. Did you guys hear about that? You can now use your fucking computer to fucking send somebody a glass of lemonade. I wish I was fucking telling you all a bad joke, but no, basically what happens is you can send a glass of lemonade from over the internet. Scientists, they like discovered a platform to send drinks. The sender dips a sensor into the lemonade, capturing something called like a pH valve, and another device sends it to the recipient. And like the motherfucker gets a message on their phone or whatever, and the receiving cup uses special electrical stimulation that tricks your taste buds into tasting lemonade. And the glass also uses LED to mimic the color. So the team currently, they're still working on trying to figure out how to transfer the information so that it can smell. And this is something that's like so groundbreaking because it can like change the way that, you know, we interact with food and drinks going forward. So that is just, isn't that some insane shit? Technology in 2017, man. It's fucking getting insane. So let's see some other topics that we can get into tonight. I'm just looking at a number of the other topics that we got going on here. Not really too many more topics to get into. How are we doing on Showtime? Yeah, we're still doing pretty good on Showtime. So I do want to briefly talk about what had went down with Tony Romo. Yeah, Tony Romo, in case you had missed it, he decided that he was going to retire from the NFL altogether, and he's going to take up a career as a CBS lead analyst. He's going to be working with Tracy Wolf. He's going to be working with Jim Nantz, calling all the games, and it appears as though that's pretty much it for Phil Simms. And I'll actually get to Phil Simms in a little bit, but let's talk about Tony Romo for now and kind of recap it for you all that maybe had missed it. So Tony Romo's camp, they released a statement right after the Cowboys officially released a statement saying this is what's going down. And then CBS had released a statement. Now, there was a conference call earlier today. Tony Romo had revealed some interesting information. He said that he had received several inquiries during the offseason from quarterback needy teams. And he said that like 99% certainty, as far as he stands, he's done playing. But he added, never say never. He said that he didn't envision coming out to play again, and that, you know, he's going to do what he needs to do to get into the booth and do his best to like it. He would go on to say, I don't know if the competitive fire is ever going to go away, but I would also argue that for me, I am a person who really likes to attack things. If this was something I didn't think I wanted to do, I wouldn't be making this decision. I'm excited about this craft. I understand the challenges ahead. If I'm not very good, I can tell you I won't be sleeping very well. So, I mean, this just pretty much puts a bookend on the weeks and weeks of speculation that was going down, because so many people were like, you've probably seen your fair share of the sports news shows. He's either going to the Broncos or he's going to the Texans, or maybe the Cowboys are going to just leave him as a backup for the next season. And as we all know, he had lost his job to the rookie quarterback, Dak Prescott. And, you know, Dak Prescott, I'll touch a little bit more about him in a couple of seconds here. But, you know, Tony Romo going this route that he's going, you know, this is awesome. Romo, 36, going on 37. He's going to be 37 before the end of this month. The guy's only played in like 5 games over the past 2 seasons because of a broken collarbone that had occurred in 2015, and then a broken bone in his back in 2016, and then last year's injury, which had occurred during a damn preseason game that pretty much had set up Prescott. 4th round rookie out of Mississippi State. He pretty much took over as the starter. And Dak was able to take the Cowboys 13-3 in the regular season. 2 of those defeats came at the hands of the New York Giants. 1 of them came at the Eagles. When they got into the playoffs, you know, they lost to Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, as they decided they actually wanted to play on that day, Aaron Rodgers and crew. So Romo, he was undrafted, came to the Cowboys roster in 2004 out of Eastern Illinois, won the starting job in 2006, helped the Cowboys reach the playoffs that year. That was Bill Parcells' final season as coach. As you all know, they had lost to the Seahawks 21-20. And, Romo, as it stands right now, you just look at these numbers. I want to go over these numbers with you all really quickly here, because, this is a really good record, and it's like, wow, to kind of go out on top and not have the ring, it's like, shit, man. But anyway, look at these numbers. Tony Romo's career numbers. 10 seasons as Cowboys starting quarterback, 127 starts, 78-49 regular season record. So that's 78 wins, 49 losses. 11-9 record against the Giants. He's 2-4 in the postseason. He's made 4 Pro Bowls, has 2,829 completions, 4,335 attempts, 65.3 completion percentage, 34,183 yards, 248 touchdowns and sacks, 117 interceptions, has an overall QB rating, my most favorite rating, a 97.1. Soft Rock 97.1, Wash FM. I know, that's just how my brain works sometimes. So, he's going out on top, and you're like, hey, he got such a really great deal, because as part of him taking this job with CBS, the Cowboys, they just basically told him, hey, look, the bonus money that, we told you we wanted back if you were going to go to another team, sign to another team, or, or whatnot, just the fact that you're not going to go to any NFL team, you can keep the money. We can just call everything just even, everything squared away. So, you're like, wow, this is awesome. And like I said earlier on YouTube, the guy's going on 36, he's going on 37, and he's been in this position where he's been hurt a couple of times. He's got a couple of kids. I believe there's another kid on the way. You're missing out on all the little things in life when it comes to your family. At least now you have this cool position that's going on. You get to show up pretty much every weekend, and actually, I would imagine the traveling for these guys is probably going to begin maybe Wednesday, maybe Thursday, and then they go prep, do what they need to do, interview the coaches for both teams, talk to the players and all that, do a lot of prepping, then get ready for game day. So he's probably going to be on the road, maybe 3, possibly 4 days out of the week. It's possible. If it's a lot less than that, we'll see. But to be in a position where he's going to basically be making like half the money just to start, he's probably going to be making about half the money that he was making as a starting quarterback, being a lead analyst. And these type of spots, it's rare that they open. Shit, who wouldn't want to fucking jump on that? I know some people are like, but what about the competitive spirit? But man, when your body has gone through that type of trauma that Romo's body has been through, you really kind of have to weigh in your options. And I'm sorry, at the end of the day, when you're out there playing that type of game, you can have all the padding you want in the world, but if we learned anything from the case of the guy that was the recipient of the Warrior Award, who was it? Eric LeGrand? I believe it was Eric LeGrand. If we learn anything from him, it's like one wrong hit in one bad area, that could be it. So heaven forbid something happens to Tony from that standpoint, and he's in a wheelchair forever, not really able to play with his kids, not able to make love to his wife and all that. Those things, you start thinking about it. When you're in your 20s, you're young, you're fearless, you don't think about stuff like that. You think you're invincible. But shit, man, once you're in your 30s and you're creeping up on your 40s, your outlook changes entirely. So he's got my respect for what he's doing, man. I totally respect him for what he's doing. But hey, man, in closing, I just want to say, CBS, thank you all so much for providing Tony Romo with an offer he simply could not refuse. Also, as a Cowboys fan, there are many football teams that I follow, that I check out religiously. I have my favorites, but the Cowboys, they've really been growing on me, especially this past NFL season alone. I love the fact that Romo is now not only going to be done with the Cowboys, but just done with the NFL, period. No more distractions from my man Dak Prescott. The future is entirely in the palm of his hands. He is now the man, and I feel in my heart of hearts that he is going to live up to exactly what he did in his first year as an NFL starter. I do not believe in my heart of hearts that Dak Prescott is a one-hit wonder. This man has so much confidence, so much respect from his peers. He has such great confidence, poise, everything you will want in a young quarterback. And I'm telling you, this guy is going to be a force to reckon with for years to come. With this distraction now out of the way, the team can get back to basics. And I tell you, they just significantly increased their chances of going into the postseason once again. I dare say they very well could go to the Super Bowl. Could they win it? Nah, I'm not sure about that. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but just with the current pieces as it stands right now, they have a damn good shot once again of repeating and going into the postseason. Now, they are kind of struggling a little bit on the defense. They could probably use one or two more additional pieces on the offense, but the defense for sure, they can definitely use some help, and hopefully they can do something during this upcoming draft. But thank you, CBS, for this slam dunk offer of a deal you gave to Tony Romo. Jerry Jones, I'm sure he probably had a really, really hard time doing this, but I feel when it's all said and done, he's gonna be like, you know what, I did pretty good. I think this was the right move that I made, if I dare say so myself. I think in the long haul, he's going to be giving himself a pat on the back, but I'm very confident in the future for Cowboys Nation. You know, aside from that, Phil Simms was doing what he was doing for like about 20 years with CBS. You got to feel for Phil Simms. I mean, all joking aside, I know a lot of people are going to be ripping Phil Simms or you know what. Hey, I honestly did not like some of the commentating that was coming from Phil Simms. I mean, if you ask me straight up, yo, Lee, what is it that you ain't like about Phil Simms? I'll keep it plain and simple for you guys. When it came to my man Phil Simms, I bullshit you not. The way he would talk, like, you got Jim Nantz, he's doing this thing, you know, he's giving you the breakdown and all that. And like Phil, he's really just supposed to come in and be like, well, you know, I talked to this player, or hey, see, here's what went down here, or, you know, but the way he comes off, you feel dumb. You feel like he's patronizing you. You feel like he's patronizing your intelligence. So, like, you may have him say some shit like, well, he wasn't a triple cover, but he did have 3 guys around him. All he has to do is score this touchdown, and that's it. You know, he would say some, like, some stupid shit like that. Or, like, when you get a chance to score points in this game, you do it. And it's kind of like, you know, you're just like, God damn, shut the fuck up, dude. So, I remember, like, I was telling a friend about it the other day, long before this news broke out, and I said to him, like, Jim Nantz could be having a conversation with Phil Simms and says, partner, today is a great day to play football. Look at this great weather. It is nice and sunny. Can it get any better than this? And Phil Simms will come right in and he'll be like, the sky appears to be clear. I guess today is a good day for football. What more do you expect? Should we be playing in the rain? I mean, and it's just kind of like, why do you have to come off so fucking smug, man? It's like, he just asked you a fucking question. You're just supposed to say, that's right, partner. Yeah, and we got a good matchup today. You know, so, but at the same time, I'm not going to miss him. I got to be honest. I'm not going to miss Phil Simms. It's like, Phil Simms, you know, I can't even say thanks for the memories because, you know, honestly, you know, for me, whenever I watch CBS, any of the games that come on, I'm really trying to pay attention to what Jim Nance is saying. I'm watching the game, but I'm paying attention to what Jim Nance is saying. After I've heard the rhetoric from Phil Simms, I basically tuned his ass out. But you have sites like Awful Announcing. I mean, they are dedicated to ripping this dude. New you know what. So, it sucks what's happening with him. Now, for those of you that are like, yeah, what's going on with Phil? Is Phil, like, officially out of a fucking job? No, according to one of the CBS executives, they pretty much said he's been an important part to CBS since 1998. As far as their coverage of the NFL, they appreciate his knowledge, his passion for the game, and they're going to try to figure out what to do with him. He may continue as a game analyst, but they're also trying to figure out if maybe they could put him in some type of a new role. As far as what that role is, it remains to be seen right now. So, it is what it is. Other than that, what did I think about Ty Dillinger? Yeah, Ty Dillinger, he did debut on Smackdown tonight. I'm trying to remember the segment. I believe Ty Dillinger interrupted Kurt Hawkins. Yeah, just when everybody was like, oh shit, it's Kurt Hawkins, Ty Dillinger popped up. Great reaction from the crowd. That was another guy that popped up from NXT. I must admit, I was really surprised that Ty Dillinger popped up and he's now part of the Smackdown roster, because I told you guys passionately, I felt that if anybody could take the NXT title off of Bobby Roode, basically it being paid forward so that eventually you can get Roode on the main roster, I felt that a program with Ty Dillinger was the way to go. But now that Ty has been moved to the SmackDown roster, the land of opportunities as it's being dubbed, I'm still going that route. I see championship gold in his future. So I think, given the fact that Drew McIntyre, I think the timing is interesting. I think if it wasn't for Drew McIntyre signing and he's going straight to NXT, because I think Rude and Drew McIntyre, aka I said it right, Drew McIntyre. I was about to call him Drew Galloway, but no, Drew McIntyre. Now that he's back in there, I think those guys are going to be feuding big time, and I still feel in my heart of hearts that Rude will, when the timing is right. I don't know if it's going to happen before this year is out, but I still feel that Rude, he's going to come up. He's definitely going to be coming up on the roster. But I must say, seeing what went down with Ty Dillinger, that was a surprising move. And Joe, to your question about the Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar angle, I talked about that at great length. I did a Monday Night Raw stream on YouTube. So, I recommend you go back and check that out when you get a chance, because I don't think it's fair to kind of rehash stuff that I've already talked about at great length. But I'm pretty damn sure I talked about how much of an awesome spot that I had enjoyed, and just seeing that WWE's kind of giving that nod to the fans. Don't worry, we got you on Braun. We ain't forget about you. And shout out to Epic. I don't know if there's enough material there from Monday night, what I said with regards to Braun and Lesnar, but if there is enough there, that maybe that could be an excerpt. If maybe you could do everybody a solid, I definitely would appreciate that, buddy. And as far as the rumors about Gail Kim, I don't really like talking about rumors. I mean, honestly, I'd like to deal with it when the time comes. And I say that respectfully because Gail Kim has admitted in many interviews over the years that, no, I don't want to go back to the WWE because they didn't make me feel appreciated. I kind of felt underutilized, at least with TNA, and I know things ended the way that they did with TNA. It ended on a good note. She went the high route. Contract expired. I'm sure they probably wanted to offer her a new deal, and she just decided, you know what? Tides are changing. It's time to go in a different direction. So, I'm just going to go on ahead and I'm just going to weigh in my options. I would be more happy to talk about a Gail Kim possibly signing with the WWE if it actually goes down. I don't really like dealing in hypotheticals, but yeah, that's where I kind of am. That's where I kind of am right now with that one. See, one more topic I want to get into before I get ready to wrap it up for tonight, and this is actually the very last topic, and we're ending on a very, very actually two notes I want to bring to you guys. So I was listening to, anybody ever heard of Dan Le Batard? Dan Le Batard, I know he had ripped Skip Bayless a new you-know-what when Skip Bayless decided he was not going to renew with ESPN and that he was going to go over to Fox Sports 1, called him a traitor, all that other shit, just taking all these tacky shots at him. And to my knowledge, as far as I know, Skip didn't say like anything derogatory, never said anything derogatory about Dan Le Batard or whatever. But, you know, it is what it is. But Dan Le Batard did this interview with Diamond Dallas Page, and it was basically after WrestleMania weekend, and it's got a few people that are going, what the fuck is going on here? And a lot of people are pretty pissed off at Dan Le Batard because they feel as though Dan Le Batard just kept pushing and pushing and pushing Diamond Dallas Page to go in a particular area in a conversation that he really didn't want to go in. So to kind of pick it up in a nutshell, at one point during the interview, Le Batard had asked Page if he could do a Dusty Rhodes impression, and then the topic came up about memorable beef, and Page had talked about something that went down in 1997 between he and Macho Man, which was the feud of the year by Pro Wrestling Illustrated, and he talked about how that made his career and everything. And pretty much when it's all said and done, Le Batard, he's like, yeah, that's nice, but what about some real life feuds? And Page laughed at that. And Le Batard had brought up Ric Flair specifically. He mentioned some very derogatory words that Ric Flair had said in an autobiography book from some years back. And it was like, dude, you do realize that Diamond Dallas Page was recently inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. Mind you, when the interview really begins, I'm going to play the audio for you guys. It's only about 6 minutes long. But when the interview begins, Dan Le Batard's like, oh, so you got inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. How was that? And Dan Le Batard's like, oh, it was, Diamond Dallas Page. He's like, oh, it was amazing, Dan. Did you see it? And Le Batard says, no, I did not see it, unfortunately. So I'm going, wait a minute. Stop. How do you say you didn't see that and you are supposed to be interviewing this guy? Now, maybe I'm old-fashioned, but my MO and every single body that I have interviewed, I have had the privilege of interviewing over the years, they will tell you this. They will say, if there's many things that they can say about me when I conduct my interviews, they say, Lee is very well thought out. He does his research. He knows what you've been up to. He knows what you've been up to. He knows what you're getting ready to do. He's pretty spot on. He's resourceful. So, Dan Le Batard, what the fuck, man? WWE is fresh off of WrestleMania. You couldn't check out the Hall of Fame? You couldn't at least go on fucking YouTube and you couldn't look up Diamond Dallas Page's induction speech? You couldn't watch the hour-long fucking USA Network special that they did as soon as WWE RAW went off the air in anticipation of this interview? So for me, you just lost credibility as far as trying to be a resourceful interviewer. The interview really just came off to me like, yeah, I got this commitment because, WWE, they got this relationship thing with ESPN, so we kind of got to interview these has-been wrestlers, so, we kind of got this guy dime. That is exactly the body language, and I'm not over-analyzing this, but that's honestly how it came off to me as I was listening to this, and it just really felt so disrespectful, and I just couldn't help but say, damn, what the fuck? But wait. So they're talking about this whole beef thing. Page laughs, and he brings up the whole Ric Flair thing. And Page is trying to answer the question, and Le Batard cuts him off more than once. He cuts him off like at least, if not 4, maybe 5 times. And that's like a big no-no. If I learned anything, especially from talking with the wrestlers, when you are an interviewer and you have a wrestler on your show, motherfucker, it is not about you. It is about your guests. And that's just, it doesn't just apply to a wrestler, just any guest that you have. That's their time. You are not supposed to talk over your guests because you are showing the ultimate disrespect. You don't do that. You do not talk over your guests. You just don't. That's not cool. So he, he's going this whole route here. Cutting them off, bringing up all this silly little shit, and Page, he finally, goes there and he's like, hey, at the time, me and Nate, we didn't really quite get along, and there was a little bit of heat between us, and he talked about how a few weeks after Flair's retirement, the two, they actually had made up at a fan convention. Page had reached out to him, reintroduced himself, shook his hand, and they pretty much had started all over. So basically, coming across a dead end, Le Batard goes, oh, okay, well, So then he wants to know about what was going on with his feud with Scott Steiner, how that feud had went down, and how he was trying to rip his eyes out. And at this point, Page actually had got fed up. He said, hey monkey, yo monkey, who the hell you think you're talking to? Monkey, who the hell you think you're talking to? I'm positively Page. You think I'm gonna flame your garbage? Asshole, fuck you. And my interpretation of that, basically that was Page's way of saying, hey man, I'm nothing but positivity over here. I'm trying to talk nothing but like good stuff over here. And you're trying to come at me with this negative bullshit. You're trying to have me spew this negative crap on top of what you're spewing. I'm not going that route. And then they did this little round table afterwards. Was he legit? Was he? And the girl that tried to get on the phone and talk to Paige, apparently, he told her, I didn't like his questioning, I answered it, and, he should have been done, and he just kept, agitating me, and I can tell you, I interviewed Diamond Dallas Page a couple of years back, and, it was awesome interviewing him. Like, I talked to him for like several minutes before we actually began the interview, and one of the first things he said to me, he said, Lee, is this going to be live? I said, nah. And he's like, oh, okay, well, is it okay if I curse? Like, do I have to make sure I don't curse? And I told him, I said, cursing is more than welcome. If you want to curse, you're fine. You can go there. It's totally okay. And to my knowledge, I mean, it's been so many years. I don't really think he cursed. If maybe son of a bitch or something like that. I don't know if he maybe threw a F-bomb out there, but I'm pretty sure for the most part it was like a clean interview, even though I told him he was free to do whatever he wanted to say, right? So I'm kind of keeping that in mind. I gotta tell you, when I read the transcript, and I'm like, no, wait a minute now. This ain't the Page I remember talking to. And I pulled up the audio. You can kind of tell Page actually sounded pretty agitated. So I want you all to be the judge of yourself. I want you all to listen to this, and then I'll come back in with my final 2 cents. And I do see the thing about, what about the contest winners? Well, while the audio is playing, I'll actually generate the remaining winners. So listen to this audio clip. I'll come back, and we'll pretty much react together to what we just heard, and then we'll talk about the winners after that.
Yeah. How was the Hall of Fame induction, or was it emotional for you?
Oh my God! Did you see it?
I did not, unfortunately. I'm sorry.
You would be crying watching it, and anybody who's watching it, I mean, so many people had that tear in their eye, but I made them laugh. I entertained them. It's the best thing I think I've ever done. It was crazy emotional, but it was really hard the week or so coming into it. Because when I'm practicing and figuring out what I want to write, a lot of really emotional moments, And when you're a guy that starts wrestling at 35 and your career takes off when you're 40, and nobody believes in you, and you overcome all the odds to not only become a top guy, a main event guy, 96, 97, and 98, it really going to 99 and 2000. But when you overcome all that adversity and you end up in the Hall of Fame, WrestleMania 6, I drove my 1962 pink Cadillac to the ring with Honky Tonk and Greg Valentine and Jimmy Hart. They were called Rhythm and Blues. I didn't even get that gig. The car did. And I was just doing a ride-along thing, because it was my car. But 27 years later, to go in the Hall of Fame, yeah, you could say it was a little emotional.
What was the most emotional part of the speech for you?
Talking about Dusty.
What about him? Yeah.
Without Dusty Rhodes, there is no Diamond Dallas Page. He's the guy who really believed in me. And without Jake Roberts, there's no 3-time world champion. And without the both, there's no Hall of Famer. So it was really emotional about Dusty because he's been gone now for 2 years. And he would have inducted me.
Do you do a Dusty Rhodes? Can you do a Dusty Rhodes for us? Watching Diamond Dallas's induction into the Hall of Fame? Do you do Dusty?
Well, let's put it like this. The first time I ever met Dusty, I knew it was a defining moment in my life. And he asked me to tell him my story, so I did. And when I was finished, he said, "Well, kid, I see a little Captain Lou, and I even see some Ventura, and I actually see a little bit of me in you." How's that?
Yeah, not bad. You got the list down. You can download his DDP Yoga now, and for more information, go to DDPY Yoga. That's DDPyoga.com. The DDP and Y are capitalized. Diamond Dallas Page with us on ESPN Radio. Among your legendary beefs, what would you say was your best beef or the most memorable beef in wrestling? Was it Vince McMahon? Was it Steiner? Was it Ric Flair?
Well, let's put it like this. 1997, Pro Wrestling Illustrated gave me and the Macho Man, dig it, the feud of the year in 1997. So, without question, would be my best feud ever. It's what made my career, and I told a little story about that too at the Hall of Fame, and it starts with me actually making a phone call to Randy. And I said, "Hey, Randy, I just want to leave you this message. It's going to sound kind of corny, but, I have a lot of the guys are texting me, and thanking me, for helping them out, here at Thanksgiving. And with it being Thanksgiving, I started thinking, who am I thankful to? And I started, man, that maybe I never told you this, man, but I want you to know that I really appreciate what you did for me, man. If you don't take the diamond cutter in the middle at Spring Stampede, well, I know I'm not living this dream, but you did, and I'm so grateful. I'll never forget it. I hope you have an awesome Thanksgiving. And I left it at that. I hung up, and I didn't really think about it again until that Monday at TV. And I was walking around the corner backstage, and Randy was walking around the opposite corner, and we were looking right at each other. And then he starts power walking. He's like, "Diamond, get over here." I'm thinking, what the hell did I do? I get up to him. He grabs me, pulls me in this office. He says, "I got your message." And I played it a couple of times. I listened to it. I did. And then I called my dad, and I said, "Hey, Dad, listen to this message." And I played it for him. And I said, "Dad, have you ever had anyone call you, any of the boys ever call you and thank you like this?" He said, "No. I just want you to know. It meant a lot."
That's pretty
then
cool.
he gave me a big hug.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool story. It's a cool story, but I was actually asking you about your real life feuds, not the ones that made you in wrestling, but the one that you had with Ric Flair, the one that you had with Steiner, the one that you had. Yeah, I was talking about your real life beefs.
Okay, let me show you who Diamond Dallas Page is. I'm in Orlando right now. I am about to get on to Ric Flair's Learjet. He's taken me and my wife and a couple of his other friends. I saw him last night. Nate and I are good, man. There's no one I have any feuds with any man.
Wait a minute. Flair wrote in his book that Page's climb to the top. Hold on, I got to tell the audience. Page's climb to the top will go down in history as one of the biggest jokes ever perpetrated on our industry. The guy was an average wrestler and an average talker with a bunch of tattoos that did nothing to win over fans. What is that?
It was called a little venting. and at the time, Nate and I, we did go through some, quite a bit of heat with each other. And we said some things. And about 8 years ago, we were doing his big send-off party at WWE, and the balloon drop and the whole deal. And I'm watching it, and I'm happy as hell for him. And I'm thinking, I want to fix this. So the next, we were both doing a signing like 2 weeks later in New Jersey. And we both end up in the room at the same time. And after he gets, done talking to somebody, he turns toward me and goes, "Hey, Donna." I said, "Hey, Nate." I said, "You got a minute?" He said, "Sure." I said, we walked off to the side and I said, "Hey, man, I know over the years, me and you have had some serious heat with each other." He said, "Oh, Diamond, don't worry about that." I said, "Nate, I'm not worried about it. I want to fix it." I said, I know I've said some things, and I know you've said some things. Who cares, man? I said, I'm a fan of yours, man. I love the Nature Boy. I don't want to have this heat. I said, I want to start all over again. And I put my hand out. I said, I'm Diamond Dallas Page. And, man, he popped. He hugged me. We left everything there.
Nice.
Like I say, 8 years later.
Yeah, you're getting on his jet right now to go party.
Not even to go get a ride back home to Atlanta. That's where we live. And, we're in the office. And Scotty Steiner, I was just with him up in.
You tried to rip his eyes out, or did he try to rip your eyes? Who tried to rip whose eyes out there? Somebody tried to rip somebody's eyes out there.
You can't rev me up, dude. Are you
who tore out whose eyes? Did you try to tear out his eyes, or did he try to tear out your eyes?
Monkey. Yo, monkey. Who the hell do you think you're talking to?
He tried to tear out your eyes.
Monkey. Who the hell do you think you're talking to? I'm positively Paige. Do you think I'm going to flame your garbage so you can scream right here? You.
Oh, no.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, so that was the interview. And, like I said, after the interview was over, him and his little staff, they did like this little roundtable discussion for like about 4 minutes. And they were like, oh, was he legitimately angry? And like I told you, one of the females over there, she was like, yeah, I tried to get on the phone and he just kept talking. And he was, I couldn't understand what he was saying. He was kind of incoherent. And I'm like, well, was that legit? Were you really upset? What was? And Paige had told her, from what she was able to hear, that he was agitated, he was irritated, that Duke kept bringing up the whole beef thing. And, he thought with what he had said about the whole Flair thing, that squashed it. That was like the end of it. But he kept going, and Paige was like, he was agitated. And, Dan tries to go, one of his people, they're like, oh, obviously he's not coming back on the show here again. And, it's like there is a way that you are supposed to conduct interviews. I mean, if you, look, I've had my fair share of interviews. I've talked to many people. I've been doing this since 2011. And something that I always ask any guest that I have on my show. Now, maybe to their credit, maybe they did go there, and, if they did, kudos to them. But I always ask any of my guests before I go into it, Is there any topic you want me to steer clear from? Any topic in particular you want me to dodge that you honestly don't feel comfortable talking about? Is there maybe like certain things you want me to spend most time talking about? You know, some type of a special project that you have going on, because I am aware you're doing XYZ. I pretty much put the ball in their court, and a majority, like 99.9% of the people I interview, they'll say to me, anything is good, man. Honestly, if there's something I don't want to talk about, you're going to know it, because I'm going to kind of deflect it a little bit. That'll be your cue. And after the interview is over, I will usually say to them, you know, how was that? Were you okay? Did you need me to take something out, or you're good? And again, like 100% of them, nah, man, that was good. That was really on point. You made me feel so comfortable. I was really at ease. You know, thanks for that. This was just, you know, the guy did not even take the time out to see Diamond Dallas Page inducted in the Hall of Fame. Okay. You know, was Dan Le Batard even aware that Dusty had passed? You know, he was just so nonchalant, like, oh yeah, like when when Diamond Dallas Page said, yeah, you know, I just wish that, you know, Dusty would have been there. You know, it really would have meant a lot. He should have been the one inducting me. And, you know, you just hear like a nonchalant, yeah. And you don't talk over your guests. You just do not talk over your guests. That's not fucking cool. That's not fucking cool, you know? And I was really disappointed in that, because that's not the Diamond Dallas Page that I interviewed. And the Diamond Dallas Page I interviewed those years back has always had a very positive outlook on life. He is not about the negativity. He has my philosophy, and this is where me and him are a little bit kindred spirits, so to speak. The way I live my life is when I am surrounded by anything or anyone that is of negative energy, I do my very best to distance myself from that, because I'm not about that. I don't like being surrounded by an individual or an entity of negativity, because that's just going to pull me down, and I don't want to be pulled down. I want to keep on going in my positive direction. I like being surrounded by those that are of positivity, that are doing good things, you know, because normally when you surround yourself with people that are of positivity, you know, y'all are lifting each other up. You know, it's a team thing. Y'all are doing it together. So, you know, me and Diamond Dallas Page, we're kind of kindred spirits in that sense, and that's what made my interview with him years back one of my most favorite that I had enjoyed, especially seeing what he's been able to do with DDP Yoga. You know, it's like, if you're not going to take the time out to do the proper research, you know, there's so much that, you know, you could have went with this brief little bit of time that you had Diamond. You could have talked about the Hall of Fame. You could have asked him, hey man, yeah, according to the list, you know, even though I didn't see it, you know, I did hear that Kurt Angle was going to be inducted, and the Rock and Roll Express, Eric Bischoff was there. Yeah, Jim Cornette apparently, and like, you know, this is like the first time, and you know, because I know Jim Cornette had some serious heat with the WWE. You know, can you give us a little bit of a bird's eye view on some of that stuff that went down Hall of Fame weekends? Anything you can share with our listeners? You know, you go that route. Go those routes, and then, you know, say, you know, hey, how was WrestleMania? How did you enjoy it? You know, no, he just really came off like a fucking douchebag, and that's not cool. That is not cool, because Diamond Dallas Page, if you take the time out, anybody, if you take the time out, you have him on your show, he is a really cool motherfucker, a really cool motherfucker. That was weird. That was probably one of the, and I've listened to a lot of Diamond Dallas Page interviews over the years. That was probably like one of the most like, whoa, that came left field. I want to announce the remaining winners. So the grand prize is the 5 wrestling DVDs. So while that audio was playing, I actually went on ahead and did the generating. So the remaining winners is as follows. And for these winners in particular, you winners in particular, you all need to let me know, honestly, Don't lie about it. If you have the WWE Network, because if you do not have the WWE Network, but you know somebody that you would like to get the WWE Network for, then I definitely need you to be upfront. I need you to be honest and let me know that. Because for this drawing, there's not one, not two, but 3 WWE Network subscriptions good for 1 month that will be up for grabs. So again, I don't want this going to a household that, okay, I can dodge paying for the network this month because I got a free. No, that's not what I want. I want to know that the network is going to somebody that does not have the network. If it's not you, somebody you know directly. That's how I want it to go down. And then the top grand prize, I mean, we still got plenty of prizes up for grabs, but the top prize that's going to go to the ultimate winner is the 5 wrestling DVDs, and I'll throw in a RCWR Show t-shirt. All right, so here we go. Byron in Chicago. Kingsley in London. Jose in Maryland. Jim in Baltimore. Reza. Kenny in Australia. Steven in Tennessee. Joe Raymond, Las Vegas, Nevada. And the grand prize winner for the 5 wrestling DVDs and a RCWR Show t-shirt. You also can have access to the WWE Network as well, so you get first dibs. Michael, you need to let me know if you have the network or not, or if you need to, if you want to give it to somebody directly, you're gonna have to let me know. That is if you don't have the network. But Michael is our grand prize winner. Yeah, I know how I wanted to do this now. It's kind of coming back to me. So there's 3 WWE Network subscriptions. One of those I wanted to have go to the grand prize winner on top of the wrestling DVDs and an RCWR Show t-shirt. So if Michael already has the network and he does not know of anyone that he thinks, hey, I'll give the network to this person then as a gift, then there's going to be 3 network subscriptions still up for grabs. As it stands right now, there's 2 network subscriptions. So all of you guys, I see your emails from what you have filled out, but if you remember when you filled out the survey, I had said to you guys, if there's any questions, any concerns, you can email me. So if you want to email me like ASAP and be like, Lee, I heard I won. This is what I want. Do you still have it up for grabs? I didn't contact anybody yesterday because I was burned out from Mania. I did not contact anybody today because I was still a little bit burned out and I really just wanted to kick back, get ready for the show. But Wednesday, which is like today on the East Coast, I'm going to be contacting everybody to give you all a proper heads up that you won, let you know what I have up for grabs, and we'll pretty much go at it that way. But all of you all, Byron, Kingsley, Jose, Jim, Reza, Kenny, Steven, Joe, Michael, all of you all, respectfully, if you don't have the network and you want it, you got to let me know. Of course, if you have it, but you know somebody that, you want to give the network to, let me know. But I'll pretty much in the morning, I'll let you know what all I have up for grabs. And you let me know what you want to get. So other than that, I think we did a slam dunk fucking show. I don't think there's any other topics that I need to get into. I pretty much hit all the fucking points for this week. And we did pretty good considering we didn't even really talk about Monday Night Raw. So once again, if you guys want to know my thoughts about... Oh, wait. I knew I forgot something. I said I was going to talk about this at great length on this show. I got to go there. Indulge me for a couple of minutes here. Some of you gamers will appreciate this. Now, I have been playing WWE Champions since the game was released. What was it? Felt like maybe it came out back in February. Now, that's just for North America. Turns out this game actually was around for a couple of years, from what I understand. And if you knew how to change your iTunes settings for your respective country, you were going to be able to play it a lot sooner. So other than that, you just pretty much had to keep your fingers crossed, hope that it was going to come to North America sooner rather than later. So I've been playing around with this game for, now a couple of months, and there are some things that I'm noticing that really needs to be improved upon. And one of the things that I had said last when I was touching upon this, I basically said these guys can learn a lot from Marvel Puzzle Quest, just implementing, certain areas that overall would make the gaming experience and replay mode, make it a lot higher. So one of the things that I'm noticing off the break is for WWE champions, there is no exact percentage displayed as far as the info. There's no exact percentage info displayed on the pulling odds of whatever character you're hoping that you're able to get. Most card games that you have nowadays, or character games that you're able to draw, usually there is some type of a ratio / percentage that you're able to see that lets you know what the odds are that you might be able to draw them. And usually the higher the tier, like $1 for one pool, or $10 get you 10 pools, or $100 get you 30 pools, or some shit like that. And you can see, okay, well, this character is 10% chance you'll get that, 20% chance you might get this, or however. So if they could kind of go in and implement that, that would give gamers a much better idea on whether or not they really should be spending their hard-earned cash for this game, because there's so many gamers for this particular game in particular. How about that? I said for this particular game in particular, that, they're like feeling ripped off. I know of people in my respected faction, and I know of people when I visit the page on Facebook that are spending like hundreds of dollars hoping that they get the character that they want, and it don't happen. So you can imagine how frustrating that is. Also, another thing that I'm noticing with this game that needs some significant improvement, the on-tour mode. You come across a number of missions where a certain wrestler is required, and there's no way you can get that wrestler except for dropping a lot of cash in hopes that you can pull that wrestler, but even at that, it's not a guarantee. So how do you fix this? I think you should introduce a limited trial mission that can consist of 10-15 battles for a 1-star bronze version of that character that you were trying to get. And I think the harder difficulty of that particular mission run, maybe it can grant you 5 to 10 talent posters of that wrestler's for that respected wrestler's cover. So let's say, for instance, one of the people you're trying to get is Attitude Era Triple H, and at least when you go through this mode that I had mentioned, at least guaranteed you're going to get a 1-star bronze version on normal difficulty. Now, if you decide you want to play that mode again on hard difficulty, well, this go round, because you already got the Triple H character, that's the only way you're going to be able to get the hard mode. You got to pretty much score 3 stars on all of the missions, and then you're able to unlock hard mode. Okay, well, now that you unlocked the hard mode, by default, you got your Triple H 1-star bronze character. You got your Attitude Era Triple H 1-star bronze character. Well, now you can go into hard, but you're not going to get another Triple H cover. No, instead, if Triple H, for the Attitude version, if his colors are green, black, and purple, well, just at random, when you go in, you're going to be able, on hard mode, to get anywhere from 5 to 10 talent posters for those respected colors. That way you can almost instantly apply them to your Triple H, unless you've already leveled them up. Then at that point, the more TP you can accumulate, the better. And here's the cool part to this. When you roll this type of special mission out, you basically should recycle this every 5 days. Basically, after 5 days, it's going to restart, and it gives you another crack at another wrestler that is much needed on that particular mission for on tour. Which brings me to another point, the limited tour. Now, I think it's great that you have themes like Raw, Smackdown, Uncaged, Main Event, etc., where you can earn certain tokens to help enhance and involve your superstars. But see, there's a problem with that. And it's this problem, which is usually the same items you see every single week. There needs to be more rotation for all items and a guaranteed chance at 3-star token items for your superstars. Let's admit, it can be pretty hard to get a hold of those 3-star token items to help evolve, enhance your wrestler. If you hope you can win it in alliance, but not everybody is playing, especially now that they've introduced faction mode. You really got to have a pretty active faction to go in. The faction feud mode is the mode I'm thinking of. Forgive me, guys. Everybody's really got to be playing and coordinating, communicating well in order for you to really rank high up in there to, have a shot at some really good prizes. And then not to mention when you have your seasons where you're playing and you hope that you can win yourself some tokens. Again, same rules apply, communication and all that. So, at least this way, it's guaranteed that if you go in, once a week and you're playing Raw or you're playing Smackdown, for certain that, okay, for your 3-star tokens, you got a shot, whether it's in normal mode or, hey, you really got to earn this. You got to go in hard mode. It's guaranteed. If you can make it to hard mode, you got, and that's the other thing. They got to work a little bit more on the scaling of the wrestlers that you face. Like, you're kind of able to get out of it as a breeze for normal mode, for Raw, Smackdown, Main Event, etc. It's a breeze if you have, like, say, for example, a 2-star silver Bad News Barrett. You can pretty much steamroll through the Raw joint. And then you unlock hard mode. Once you unlock the hard mode, guess what? The motherfuckers have like 3 times more health and powers and all that than you do. And thus, you're at a stalemate. I think they need to kind of decrease on the scale, let it complement more of where your current roster is at that point in time. They can definitely learn significantly from what Marvel Puzzle Quest is doing with their scaling respectfully. And then another thing that they should do, and I think this would help out tremendously and encourage more people to try to play more actively, is the removal of inactive players. Come on, you visit your factions, right? And you're scrolling through, you're trying to see who all is who, and you notice that somebody hasn't played in 368 days, somebody hasn't played in 56 days, etc., etc., etc. Well, honestly, I think if you've been inactive after, 30 days, I think by default, you should be removed. I think there should be some type of a time stamp that lets those that's checking out the servers and all that. And this can't be done because think about it. How many of you play the DC Universe game? Whether it's on your PC or you're now playing it on Xbox or you're playing it on the PS4. How many of you play that game? What happens when you leave your superhero stationary and you go make a sandwich, you go do any and everything else, and then you come back like 4 hours later? They kick your ass off of the server. So honestly, if you have been inactive for like 30 days, I think by default, it should put you in a position where you're kicked out of that faction. Or I think it would also be a really nice, cool feature where if you have remained in that faction for, I would say, 30 days, you should move up in rank to the point you have the power to remove any inactive players that haven't done anything in 30 days. So as long as they are holding on to a recruit member status, you can't do that to leaders. I think in that case, you have to get in contact with customer support, let them remove the leaders. But I think you need to have at least enough stroke to be able to, or enough of a rank and all that other enhancements that I had mentioned to be able to remove the people that have been active for that long that I had mentioned. And another thing that I would really like to see, and I had talked about this just briefly, but I really want to enhance it a little bit more just for a hot second, and that is I think it would really be awesome if you introduce female wrestlers in the game as well, such as Nia Jax, Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha Banks, Nikki and Brie Bella, Natalya, all as playable characters. You can make it be really easy to incorporate them on certain missions that maybe require a one-on-one, or it's a tag match, or even an intergender tag match. To start folks off, let everybody be able to earn, to play and win and play, I should say, as Dana Brooke or Carmella, and do what you need to do to evolve them and work towards earning better women wrestlers for your roster. And one of the last two items, regular maintenance, regular updates, much needed. People should not be waiting almost 2 months, almost 3 months plus for updates. It should be happening, if it needs to go down, it should be happening at least once a month. If not twice a month, you got to at least try to make sure everything's updated, everything's squashed within the first month, because these past two faction feuds that they did, people are still waiting for their rewards. There's so many bugs right now. So you gotta freaking tackle that. And only then, I think, once you've tackled all of this, not only are you gonna have people in a position where they're going to want to play the game more and more and more, because now everything is running nice and smoothly. But hey, you know what? I actually want to support the game developers. They're going to throw some more cash out there into the game, because ultimately I would really like to see this game move on to the Xbox, move on to the PlayStation 4, move on to Nintendo Switch. I think it would be pretty freaking awesome. I see Joe, because he plays the game himself. He's going, Lee, how about unlock all superstars for... No, I like earning them the hard way. I must admit, I like earning them the hard way. I think the system that they got implemented right now is good. They just honestly need to just fine-tune those areas that I mentioned, and for sure at the very top, work on that whole percentage list, let you see what the odd pools are, and if they need to tweak that a little bit, enhance it in a way where you got a little bit more of an opportunity to, get that particular wrestler, then so be it. Now look, I understand. Look, don't everybody need to be running around with AWA version of Ric Flair? You know what I'm saying? We don't all need to be running around with that. It should be hard for you to get something like that, right? But all the other stuff that I mentioned, it's easily doable. It's easily doable. So other than that, that's pretty much going to do it. Stick a fork in it. It's done. Your next edition of the RCWR show is going to be coming at you on Tuesday night of April 11th, 10 p.m. Eastern, after Smackdown. For you Impact Wrestling fans, I will be live this Thursday, April 6th, 10 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. It is another edition of Impact Showdown, covering the very latest in Impact Wrestling as seen on Pop TV. Follow me on Twitter and Facebook at the RCWR Show. Those of you waiting for the audio for this very episode, give me about 25 minutes and it will be ready to go. Shout out to Joe, shout out to Razor, shout out to Mike, shout out to Brendan, shout out to Izzy. Izzy had made a quick little cameo in there, and appreciate the love and support as always. Thanks to everybody for checking this out live, and special shout out to those of you that's going to be checking this out on the downloads. Shout out to the good folks over at Epic Sports. Really appreciating the love that I've been getting from you guys past couple of weeks. And that's going to do it. A very good night, good morning. Catch y'all later.